Championship. Today we got distance racing. We're gonna start off with the women's prone and SUP, and we're gonna move on into the men's as well. You can see the racers getting ready, all ready down there at the beach. We've had a little bit of a delay today, just waiting for the optimal conditions. We got that rising tide. The wind is also laid down. It's pretty glassy today, and it's good to see you guys here. Dave Bainey along with Rachel Tilley once again. Rachel, how are you feeling today, and what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm really looking forward to this prone starting. First off with the women, we're going to have a staggered start just a few minutes after. Then the SUP women will start their race, and then of course we're doing that same exact format later this afternoon with the men. So a little bit similar to the technical course that we saw take place yesterday. There will be that surf line incorporated into today's course as well, just a longer course, 3K per lap, and then they will be doing multiple laps. So I'm excited to see the standouts that we saw yesterday will be participating again today, and see how they recovered from those intense races that we saw all day yesterday.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a second. Yesterday, they're going to show the course right here. So with the first look at the course, you could say, hey, that kind of looks like a tech race, but the only difference is it's stretched out way bigger. So these are 3K laps in distance. You can see the paddlers start on the beach. So they're going to make a left shoulder turn at buoy number 1 and then head way down towards La Bocana and then make it around and have that long back stretch where they're really going to try to open up and maybe get some, into the wind type of conditions. And then they're going to go back to that famous third buoy, and that's when the real fun begins, Rachel. That is the surf lineup, and they're going to have 3 opportunities that they're going to have to deal with the surf. You can see a nice peeling right direct to that bottom buoy there. So plenty of surf here, and it's going to be a really interesting distance race.
Yeah, we saw the wind picking up a little bit earlier today, but it's backed right off. So we'll see how those conditions play out throughout the day. This is our entire week event schedule. Of course, we crowned world champions in our SUP surf division yesterday. We crowned world champions in our technical races all afternoon yesterday. So into the distance race tomorrow, we will be doing the sprint races. No relay race anymore. Unfortunately, those conditions with the tide are not allowing that enough beach for us to use. As we look exactly at those conditions, tide a 1.4, low at 4:14. So we've now just entered that amount of beach space that is required to take place with these races, with that start and finish line, and we'll see that tide continue to run out.
Yeah, and you can see there's a good shot of the beach right there. At high tide, the water line is all the way up to the rocks. I've had to deal with that last few nights in a row coming back from town. Looks like the prone women racers are set to go. Lined up in between the starting gates there. You see Anthony Vela at top of the screen, giving out some instructions. We're also going to have some live coverage from the water. Mathieu, he'll be waiting in the boat. Here's the heat draw right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 prone women representing France, Canada, Japan, Italy, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Argentina, and Spain. They're lining up, moving towards the shoreline. So we're going to have to get a start here any moment now. We have been doing a standing start, not necessarily a running beach start. It's more of a standing waist-high start just to avoid the rocks as well. There's a big hole right there next to the shoreline. You can see they're off. Anthony Vela sets them off. We got a good start here. Not much shore break, so real clean start for all the racers. We'll see him sprint out to that first buoy and make that left-hand turn.
It looks like that is Judy taking that initial lead. Right behind her, Eureka on that pink Paddleboard, we saw her win the technical race yesterday.
Yeah, and it's looking like the top 3 seeds once again. Judith Vergez from Spain, Eureka Horibe, Japan, and Thais Delarieu from France. Quickly getting into a little 3-pack in the lead. Right there, there's a good shot of that yellow board. That is Judith Vergez from Spain, drafting right next to her on that bark board on the left. That is Thais Del Rieu from France. And getting a nice little wash ride is Eureka Horibe. So our top 3 prone women already establishing a nice little draft pack together. And you can see the women do have their leashes on their ankles. We did have a little bit of equipment failure we saw in some of the tech racing yesterday, so some athletes choosing not to wear a leash. And they're going to take this first turn and head down to the bottom buoy there.
So now this is one of those longer legs of the race course that we will see take place. If you remember that race map, they're now heading all the way east. We are south-facing country, so this coastline runs that east to west. But they're going to make their way down that beach line. A little bit of a divide already kicking off. As we see, you can see Mitu on the boat there, getting a front row live. Let's go hear from him. And what are you seeing, Mitu?
Hey guys, what I'm seeing is a trio, the same trio as yesterday in the technical race, taking already a major lead over the rest of the challengers. So 5 athletes in the chase, or 4 athletes in the chase, 3 at the front. Actually, a very late prone paddleboarder at the who's just rounded the first buoy, so really far behind. But at the front, Judith Vergez. She was the unlucky athlete defending her technical race world title yesterday. Actually 3 world titles in a row until yesterday, when Eureka Horibe, the Japanese, took on for the first time the crown in the technical race. Eureka Horibe, who's currently sitting in 3rd position behind Thais Derrieux, and Eureka, who is a 2-time long distance world champion. So we now have in that front pack 2 3-time world champion, Eureka Horibe, who picked up the 3rd gold yesterday in the technical race, but she had 2 long distance crowns before that, and Judith Vergez, the 3-time technical race world champion. Between them, Thais Delrieux, the French athlete from Biarritz, a surf life-saving specialist, also a very, very strong surf ski champion. So that's our top 3 for now. Back to you.
Mathieu, thank you for that insight. Good stuff there. And as you see, the front runners, the top 3 prone women from yesterday, setting the tone again here in the distance race. Already creating a rather large gap from the second pack back there. I believe in 4th place. That looks like Lizette Perez from Puerto Rico, possibly. And conditions, you can see, you know, I would consider these glassy conditions, but there's never really true glassy conditions when you're doing ocean racing. There's a lot of bumps, a lot of, you know, little swells, and, you know, that's when a lot of the ocean reading and knowledge comes into play. Racers always looking for that extra little glide, extra little advantage fit inside those bumps.
Yeah, that's really well said. As we get this really beautiful shot overview of all the racers, it really, if we were getting ready for a surf, you'd say, oh, the conditions are so glassy right now, which they are, but it's those more, it's not so choppy, it's lumpy out there. So the athletes, like you said, finding their glide with the pacing of their strokes to just get in rhythm with the ocean, trying to conserve as much energy as possible while outputting as much effort.
Absolutely. And, you know, talking about the prone boards here, yesterday we saw a few prone boards with a square tail, a little bit wider, kind of lifeguard, rescue board style designs. And with this distance race, you're going to see a lot more of that stock design with that pintail, nice spoony nose. You know, the pintail gives that nice kind of slick release with a very little draft, and it's very fast in a straight line. So it's cool to see the different options and equipment here and the athletes choosing what they feel is going to be the fastest. A lot of times too, you know, that you're just trying to keep your arms fresh and you want the board to feel real slick through the water, and those narrow pintails feel really nice for that.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a shock when you get onto a prone board and you start paddling. You go, wow, I can paddle so fast. And then if you jump back onto a surfboard to paddle out in the surf, and you just realize how slow you are and how awesome those boards are. We see a couple different equipment choices from the women in terms of make. Bark being one of the main standouts, especially in this prone division.
Absolutely. There's a lot of Australian prone brands out there as well. Obviously, the lifeguard competition and that style of competing is huge in Australia. We don't see as much in the USA, but yeah, it's really cool to see, you know, rescue and life-saving competition. It really is a bigger sport than you think on a global level.
Absolutely. A shame that we don't have it more involved in the US, because over in Australia, it's a real part of their culture to be a part of that surf life-saving, you know, from a young age. Even if you don't take it into a professional level, just the ocean knowledge that comes with that. But you do see so many Australians, especially because we're focusing on them, that have this wave knowledge with these boards. Now, this amount of board is not easy to handle in the waves, and we saw examples of that yesterday in the technical races. We will see examples of that potentially again today, because the athletes going through the surf line will be a portion of this race.
Yeah, and there's something, you know, just pure about the prone paddling, the traditional paddling. You know, it's been around the longest, and there's something about just a board and just your hands, right? And, you know, you're paddling so far just using your hands. It really is, you know, the core of paddling. And, you know, just traditionally, like back in the day, the top surfers were all prone paddlers as well. You know, they're all like just really, really strong athletes. And, you know, like you're saying, in so many cultures, paddling such a tradition, you know, like Tahiti, places like Tahiti and Hawaii, you know, the roots run deep, and it all started with prone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the discipline that I lean towards when I do ever jump on a board or a race. Actually, someone notably that will be missing in the SUP long distance racing, Candace Appleby. She's running a race next weekend that I'm signed up for in the prone division. I'm looking forward to it. So
here we go.
I'm taking all the tips that I can from our world champions here right now.
Maybe a little inspired from the week down here.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I love jumping on my paddleboard and training back home around the harbor. And the surf, though, is where I actually really don't prosper handling that board. So that is where I would need more practice. And these women are just incredible.
Definitely. And if you're joining here, we are in the SUP distance prone women division at the moment. Those are our leaders, the top three paddlers. We also saw them. They were the top three ladies in the technical, but we have currently Judith Vergés from Spain, Yorika Horibe from Japan, and Thais Del Rio. That's their top three ladies at the moment. So they're down at that far buoy. They're going to make a right shoulder turn and head all the way back on this is the longest part of the race here. So this is a long stretch. We do have a staggered start, 3 minutes staggered start about, and you can see Anthony right there. He is lining up our SUP distance women. We got a stacked field, of course, again. We're gonna look for Alba Frey to get a good start. That's her right there on the right with the all-star right next to her. Duna Gordillo from Spain. She's another favorite in this race. And we can't forget Marie Carmen Rivera. Looks like she's all the way on the opposite side of those two ladies. And it's gonna be fun to watch someone like Csillag Kocsis from Hungary, the young junior champion from yesterday in the open division. See how she stacks up with the veterans here. Also got Soren Preston from USA. You can see her SIC board right in the middle of the screen. So again, having to contest with some shore break, of course, here at El Sunzal. They're going to do the same exact course that we've been watching from the prone women. Anthony Vela standing right behind them. Looks like he's going to send them off any second now. And there we go. There's the start. Looks like there's a little bit of a closeout that they got to contend with. Who goes down? So Csillag goes down. And here is Alba and Duna just kind of running away with the start right there. Wow, that is such good fortune for them. Everybody else kind of them down.
Wow.
Had to deal with a bigger part of that shore break. And the question I'm asking right now is, where's Marie Carmen? You see her right there. She's just leaving the beach. So this is a big story. Marie Carmen virtually in last at the moment. She's got a lot of work to do if she wants to get in that front pack.
Let's talk about how important this start is for the rest of the race. You know, kicking that off, they now have practically 9 kilometers ahead of them.
We're going to throw it down to Mathieu. He's in the boat right now.
Hey guys, yes, Alba, Alonso, Frey, Duna, Gordillo, the 2 Spaniards are at the front. Very clean start and very powerful start for the athlete from Fuerteventura and the athlete from Mallorca. So 2 Islander athletes at the front, Starboard and NSP. Sveva Sabato is in the chase, but there's a bit of a gap, about 10 meters, and it's the young Italian Sveva Sabato from Taranto in Italy, and then it's Otono Hirata from Japan. I'm wondering, where is Mari Carmen Rivera? I don't see her just yet. Yes, she's very much at the back in about 12th position, so she must have fallen at the start. I'm not entirely sure. In 4th place right now, we've got the 2-time junior world champ, Csillag Kocsis from Hungary on that Infinity Ever Ready, taking with her Anaís Guiomar, Helena Ribeiro from Brazil, another Brazilian, that's Jessica Moa. I can see Mari Carmen Rivera giving a huge push right now, trying to overtake a lot of athletes, now sitting perhaps in 8th or 9th position. She's working really, really hard, and she's taking with her Claudia Postiglione, who seems to have had a pretty bad start as well. So Claudia Postiglione very smartly follows Mari Carmen Rivera, who's taking a complete outside line on the right to try and catch up with Alba Alonso Frey, Duna Gordillo, Sveva Sabato at the front, Csillag Kocsis, who's well positioned as well. So just to recap, Alba Alonso Frey, Duna Gordillo 1-2, Sveva Sabato 3, then it is 4th place, the Starboard, I'm not sure. You're going to have to help me with that. 5th place, Csillag Kocsis, and Mari Carmen now back to the front in about 6th place. Claudia Postiglione lost that draft behind Mari Carmen Rivera. Back to you.
Mathieu, thank you so much. Wow, lots of action happening here, and drama definitely unfolding from the get-go of this distance race. You guys saw the start there. Basically, your 2 leaders, Alba Frey and Duna Gordillo, were the only ones who got a clean start. Everyone else had to contend with that closeout on the beach. We got a good split screen here on the right. Those are our prone leaders at the moment. It looks like we've had a little bit of separation since last time we checked in with them. So the leader really putting in some effort to break away right now on this long stretch.
That looks like it might be Judith Verges.
Yeah, I think you're right. That is Judith Verges in 1st place. Looks like 2nd place might be Japan. Hard to tell from this point of view at the moment. And also on the left on your screen, those are the leaders of the women's SUP distance. That is Alba Frey, Duna Gordillo with a huge gap from the chase pack. It appears that Marie Carmen Rivera from Puerto Rico has moved her way into third, perhaps. No, she is not there yet. I see Chilag Coxis. I could just tell by the nose of her board. She's in virtual third and fourth, drafting with another racer there. And you can see the long line of athletes charging down to the far buoy.
A really interesting strategy by Marie Carmen to put all that effort in right off the bat in order to recover from that start that unfortunately didn't go the way that she would have been hoping. So putting in a lot of effort to try and get back up to that front pack.
Yeah, that was a huge misfortune for a lot of the paddlers. You know, Marie Carmen, one of the favorites in this distance race. You know, she would have loved to see herself drafting with Duna and Alba as they break away from the pack. So, you know, she's got to make some choices. Does she really try to push and try to catch up with them? It's going to be really hard. But right now we got the prone paddlers. These are your front leaders here in the women's prone. Looks like we got a move and a breakaway here. Just making a... Yeah, so it looks like second place is making a move and starting to close the gap a little bit. You can see them just really grinding here. A lot more effort we saw when they were drafting together. So definitely trying to break away.
Interesting to see these strategies of the athletes breaking away so early on in this race, as we do know they still have another few laps behind them, and knowing that that surf line is incorporated, and it will be interesting to see how important these efforts to break away end up transpiring later on.
Absolutely, and you can see they're really putting in some effort right here, catching some glides. And it looks like Judith Verges from Spain hanging on to that lead. And Yorike Horibe from Japan just chasing her down. You saw her move to her knees and just really trying to not let her get too far away.
So talking about that as well, we see those two different strategies, being prone on your belly or moving up to your knees. That's something that we do see in prone paddleboarding specifically.
And there's our leaders right there. Another good look. That was Judith Verges. You can see the gap between her and Eureka Horibe. And there is third place, France Thais Del Rio. She's still in the mix. But a lot of something happened where they just broke. And there's a nice little gap between all three places.
Yeah, and between them three and then the rest of the pack, another good distance as well. But we really see Judy making a big break for that lead at the moment over Eureka, the current and two-time long distance gold medalist.
Yeah, and Judith's just flying. It looks like they're having a nice angle with the bumps on the way back here. You know, throughout the week that would have been a kind of a headwind leg, but today there's definitely a little cross swell happening. You can just see her gliding so fast across our screen here. So Judith Verges just looking unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah, and when they jump up to their knees, they are able to use a little bit of strategy bouncing into some of those bumps for that aid in a push.
All right, we're going to throw it down to Mathieu in the boat. Mathieu, what are you seeing as far as conditions go? Are our racers getting some downwind bumps or some swells?
Yeah, well spotted there. Absolutely. They are gliding indeed. They are definitely maximizing on those tiny bumps. Gliding is definitely the word. Just before we're entering the surf section, Judith Vergès was clearly very good at that. As you can see, now the gaps are actually getting bigger between Judith Vergès and Yurika Horibe. So Spain and Japan in the lead. Thais Derry is not far behind, about 25 meters behind Yurika. So it is the same trio as yesterday. Not the same order, because Yurika Horibe was actually leading yesterday. Obviously, we have to remember that Judith had an issue with her leash, and that issue actually occurred, I found out during the race briefing, when she was surfing. She actually did some sort of 360, a rollover basically, and that's where her leash got entangled. She had to take off that leash from her ankle, and that leash was just dragging behind her, slowing her down. She did manage to get back to second place though, after being in third place for most of the time. She's in the surf now, so over to you.
Mathieu, thank you for that. And as he has mentioned, they are in the surf line here. So Judith Vergès from Spain hanging on to that lead. Been a little bit of a quiet run here through the surf. Has not been able to find a wave to get a free ride into that inside buoy. You can see all three ladies right there looking for some surf. Once again, Yurika Horibe from Japan is sitting in second. And Thais Del Rio from France right behind her in third. You see Judith scratching, but that wave definitely not going to break for her.
And we saw her use that strategy to angle inwards a little bit. So using that energy, hopefully having that wave prosper with that, unfortunately not getting into it. So you can see the other paddlers keeping on their line straight to the buoy. Judith now re-angling back out to that buoy to round. She has a healthy lead. Doesn't look like there's any wave opportunities of consequence coming up behind. However, we do know that there is tons of surf still out there today. So potentially when that next pack comes through, we might see some more swell opportunity.
Yeah, and unfortunately for these leaders in particular, that was probably the quietest I've seen the waves all morning long.
Yeah.
That's been quite a long lull. One of the longer lulls I've seen all day. And it looks like Flaminia Monti from Italy, just saw on our screen. I think she's hanging on to fourth place at the moment. So we got our leaders, Judith Vergès, rounding the bottom surf buoy. She's going to head back out. She has completed one lap so far. You see Yurika coming in hot on the bottom buoy right now. So all three racers unable to catch a wave in the surf line. So they paddled this entire lap on their own. And they're starting lap 2 right when they round this buoy here. So 1, 2, and 3 of your women's prone at the moment.
And then good amount of distance between these three paddlers to the rest of the pack. We'll see if any of that distance closes up with potentially some surf. But there is Yurika rounding that second buoy to now start lap number 2.
Yeah, and you can see Judith on the top, on the left side of your screen. She went to her knees. She was just putting all that effort to get even more separation. Just really looks like she's turning up again. And Yurika going to her knees, so she's in a little bit of attack mode as well. And you see Thais Del Rio. She doesn't want to let her get too far away. She's on her knees as well, just getting after it. They're going to head down to the far buoy. So 1, 2, 3 with a huge lead over the field. We're just about 25 minutes into this race as we catch up with our SUP women distance leaders. There's a good look at the field right there. They're heading back up towards where we're at, and nothing has changed. It's still Duna Gordillo, Alba Frey out in front, 1 and 2. But look who's chasing them down in third. That is none other than Marie Carmen Rivera. She is on a tear right now.
Wow, absolute insane performance to get back up to that third position. Coming from relatively that last place position, and she has passed all of her fellow paddlers to get up to that portion. So will be interesting, you know, these distance races, of course, by name, they're distance races. They're long, 9K in total that these paddlers will be racing through. So finding your ability to pace yourself is pretty crucial so you can keep up a good pace throughout the entire race. Now we've just seen Marie Carmen expend a lot of energy in the beginning portion of that. Will be interesting to see if she then can maintain and keep up with that front two pack.
Yeah, it's honestly so impressive because these two ladies right here, you know, they're arguably, you know, top 3 fastest women on the planet. Marie Carmen, you know, she's had to be paddled maybe twice as hard of effort to simply be in third is impressive within itself. She literally was virtually last, and I would expect to see her maybe drafting in a pack, you know, somewhere, and all of them working together to kind of try to catch them. But there she is in solo third. That is just incredible. So she's just in striking condition right now. You will see what happens with the waves, but Matu's got a closer look. Matu, how about this incredible comeback from Marie Carmen? What are you seeing down there?
Thank you, guys. Yeah, Duna Gordillo, Alba Alonso Frey, those two Spaniards still very much at the front. Definitely maximizing, just like the prone paddleboarders. Those bumps, they are good at it. Duna Gordillo and Alfonso Frey, two islanders who are used to ocean conditions, definitely doing well on those bumps. And Marie Carmen did manage to get back to the front, but there's a bit still of a gap to close if she wants to claim a gold today. We know that Marie Carmen is after her first gold medal under the ISA, but currently she is sitting in third place. In fourth place, we have the two-time junior world champ from Hungary, Csillák Kocsis, also paddling really well. And there's a bit of a gap behind her, and Otono Hirata, the young Japanese, is with Sveva Sabato, another young athlete, 16-year-old Sveva from Taranto, Italy, just behind the Japanese. And then it's Anaïs Guillaumard from France, from French Brittany, on a 3-bay board. And then there's a huge gap, about 100 meters, and we have a Sonova board. I believe the Argentinian or the Brazilian. I think Claudia Postiglione is there. Lena Ribeiro is also in the mix, so it's a group of 3. And then Jessica Moa, another Brazilian. Yona Rive from France. Really surprising to see Yona Rive in so far from the front. Definitely a favorite for a top 5. Really in a bad spot right now, about 10 positions. So over to you. This is our top 10.
Matu, thank you for that breakdown. You can see those are the current standings, and you see Marie Carmen right there, solo third. But right now, Alba Alonso Frey in first place. Duna Gordillo hangs on to that second place. Marie Carmen, you see her chasing, and also Csillák, the young Hungarian paddler, Csillák Kocsis, she is in a strong fourth. So these ladies are rounding the top buoy for the surf. And looking at the lineup, it's a little quiet still. So it looks like the leaders might have to paddle on their own through this section. We'll see if waves get served up for Marie Carmen and possibly even Csillák. You see Marie Carmen right there coming to frame. Just getting a nice glide into the buoy. She's got to be feeling pretty good that she was, you know, able to close that gap. She is in striking distance, but she's going to need some help from Mother Nature here. A little bit of luck. And you see Csillák right there reaching the buoy as well. So the surf line still going quiet. Looks like there's a few bumps. Let's see how much these racers want to risk it by going deep to catch these smaller waves. Looks like Alba's in the mix for these waves. There's a little bit of a set you could see, but Duna is way out on the side. You see Marie Carmen, she's really trying to make her move, risking it, going inside. Alba as well, going further deeper. So there are a couple waves. Looks like Alba might be able to get this one. Duna, I think she's just too far out. Here goes Alba. She's going to catch it. She's really deep, though. She's really deep. Oh, she has to brace, and she hangs on. She's starting to look a little smoother, but look who's getting one out the back. Is this Marie Carmen? Marie Carmen is dropping in.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, Duna Gordillo, she's got company. Chilag too, looking for one out the back. She's going to miss it. So Marie Carmen does the work. She's going to catch up to Duna right here. Duna dropping in right next to Marie Carmen. Alba trying to get out of the way.
No!
Marie Carmen goes down. Duna has to pull out as well.
Wow, that was huge. That section just really standing up, and you could see Marie Carmen and Duna really close together. Unfortunately, Marie Carmen not able to pull off the wave before that section just turned around. So a bit of distance that was made up was a little bit lost there.
Yeah, it's almost like she's exactly where she was. I will say it does look maybe the gap is about half as big as it was before, but man, that was her opportunity to really get in the mix there. She's right there, though. She's in striking distance. She did all the work she had to do. There's still 2 more laps left. All the racers coming through the surf line. You see Chilag, she's in 4th place on the left side of your screen. We got some racers catching some waves here.
We know Chilag is not one who loves to take advantage of these waves, more so opting and hoping that the waves avoid during her sprint here. So she stays on that angle straight from buoy to buoy. You know, a lot of times the athletes can avoid the surf line by staying really wide and straight on that angle, where if you want to get the waves, we see the athletes who risk it going a bit in deep, having to change their line to do so. So it is a bit of a risk to incorporate the waves, but the reward can be huge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As we did see it, quick little look from Anaïs Goymark from France, who got that nice ride and caught up with Chilag from that set. All right, Mathieu. He's made it over by the prone leaders. We're going to drop it down to Mathieu. What do you see?
I have to be honest, I missed the prone leaders, so I'm only have in sight the front of the women's SUP race, and it is now Alba Alonso Frey taking the lead just in front of, or side by side with Duna Gordillo. The two are paddling together. I'm wondering if there's not actually a team strategy going on here. We saw both of them being caught up in the surf yesterday by Marie-Carmen Rivera and Juliette Duhaime, who never let go of the front after that. So it sounds like the two Spaniards decided to really push hard at the beginning of that race, and Marie Carmen is in no man's land space right now, just on her own, about 30 meters behind or 40 meters behind Duna Gordillo, and still trying to catch up, hoping for some mistakes or loss of stamina from at least one of the two paddlers at the front. She is sitting in 3rd place. In 4th position, the astonishing Csillák Kocsis from Hungary, the fourth position occupied by the young Hungarian, who is competing in both the junior tech race and also the open women's race. We know Csillák has had a great year. She scored some open women's podiums this year, some important ones. So she knows she can also make potentially her first appearance on a open women's podium. In 5th place, we have Anaïs Guillaumard a very strong paddler from French Brittany, also definitely ocean girl. She's just started subfoiling. She is going to have the legs for sure for this long distance. Then we've got two paddlers together, the young ones, Otono Hirata from Japan and Sveva Sabato from Italy, still paddling together. We saw both of them having a great start earlier on. But they are pushed back outside of the podium right now. Another Italian far behind them, it's Claudia Postiglione on her own right now on an NSP. And let me just identify who's on that Sonova behind her. I think that is the Argentinian. I think it's the Argentinian Lucy Klembowski. On that Sonova board, so that should be our top 10 once again. And Lena Ribeiro from Brazil, not too far behind. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mathieu. So now we have in the booth a change up. Dave Bainey out and Bo Nixon in. Welcome to the booth, Bo. So on that last surf line that we just saw take place, we did see a change up. Anais gets up into that 5th position because of a wave she was able to ride past Otono and Sveva. So a little change up there, but not a change up to those first leading Alba, Duna, and Marie Carmen going for trying to get into that front 2 pack as we see on your screen there.
Yeah, Marie Carmen really trying to push up to at least get into that drafting train there of Alba and Duna. Alba, of course, a sprint gold medalist, now competing in the distance here. It's interesting to see her take to the distance racing. It's about a 10-kilometer course, so you know, still a shorter course in terms of distances go, but definitely not one of Alba's strongest suits. Definitely Duna's and Marie Carmen's, you know, that's their discipline for sure, is the distance racing. But it's a great drone angle here we can see of now the lineup of competitors behind the 2 leaders there, Marie Carmen in 3rd, and Cilag, the young Hungarian, winning her 2nd gold medal yesterday in the junior technical race. So great to see her mixing it up here and, you know, keeping up with the leaders of this distance race. And that is your top 4 on screen there. As you said, Anaïs of France just behind them, Sveva Sabato as well, not far behind. And they are really pushing hard. You know, they're into their 2nd lap now, Rachel. 27 minutes have passed. That's a really quick, they've got just another lap to do, a lap and a half really after this. So that's a really quick pace that they are currently holding.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the texture on the water from this angle really beautifully. They're kind of going on that upwind. There's not much wind at the moment, but they're kind of going against those little bumps. You can see those bumps going underneath them. So after they round this buoy, as we've been seeing the prone women now moving back up, going towards the right of your screen, they'll be able to utilize those bumps a little bit more.
Definitely, and it's been a huge change in conditions since earlier on today, and I know you and Dave spoke about it. The wind was up a little bit earlier.
It was.
That would have really played into this distance race, but you know, conditions really starting to calm down now out there in terms of the wind. Of course, still that texture on the face from some swell rebounding off, of course, the beach, but also just from that leftover wind from earlier on today, making it a little trickier for competitors. But you can see Duna there just taking a break. Now, I did hear that there is a boat out there on this 2nd buoy turn. They do have hydration out there for the athletes if they do need to stock up. A lot of these athletes, I think, have hydration packs on them, which is definitely needed in the heat of El Salvador, Rachel, as you know from competing here in the past.
Absolutely. Actually, as you were saying that, I was just checking the temperature, around 85 degrees air temperature for them at the moment. Yesterday we did see a nice little cloud cover which kept that air temperature a little bit cooler, not by much, maybe 80 degrees, but today they do have that sun beating down on them, and I think slightly different from the SUP to the prone, as well as these SUP women. They're standing up. They're not wet except for that start, as opposed to the prone women. At least they're getting that little splash in the face, so the water might help keeping cool a little bit. You can see they're getting wet, switching from their knees to their stomach. So that looks like our leader right now, Judith, going for her first ISA long distance gold medal.
Yeah, she certainly is. She's come runner-up 4 times in a row. But we're going to throw it down to the boat there. Matu, what have you got for us there? What can you see going past your boat?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, thank you guys. It's redemption day for Judith Verges. She's not going to have that leash problem today, and she's leading by a good 200 meters over the Japanese Yurika Horibe. So if we compare the 2 races, we have 2 Canary Islanders at the front. One is from Gran Canaria, that's Judith Verges, just behind me on the prone paddle board. And in the SUP, Alba Alonso Frey is from Fuerteventura, so another of the Canary Islands. Yurika Horibe right now sitting in 2nd position, but there's a huge gap now clearly to close. If she wants another gold medal this weekend, is going to be really, really hard, unless there are some mistakes or some wipeouts in the surf. Then behind Yurika Horibe, we have the French athlete Thaïs Delrieux. She's on that bark board at the back, and she's got about 100-meter gap to close if she wants to do better than what she did yesterday, as in 2nd instead of 3rd. The race is not over for sure. It is hot over here, so let's see how those bodies react in the 2nd part of the race. Over to you.
Just before you go, are you still there? I just want to ask you a question.
Let's go, Yurika!
Yeah. Matu, if you're still there, how are the athletes looking as they pass you on their 2nd lap? I think we're going to lose Matu there. But when we cut to him next time, I'd just like to get his insights of how the athletes are feeling out in the heat today, how they're looking, especially as they go through this 2nd lap. They're going to start to really push hard as they move into their 3rd lap to try and obviously catch up. Our French competitor on screen there, Thaïs. She's in that 3rd position at the moment, trying to catch up to the 2 women ahead of her in this prone distance race. Rachel, one thing I've really noticed as we've been following the prone paddleboard is you can see these bumps out here, and they're actually able to get a little bit of that little bit of a run, I guess, along with the swell. Is that from the swell? Because it's definitely coming from that more easterly direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's a bit from that swell, also just from wind maybe far off that takes place overnight. This is the ocean here just does tend to have quite a few lumps in it at all times. So I would say that is, because you can see they're short period little lumps, so indicating that is from the wind. Something also of note, I think, is the stand-up paddle women right now, they're equipment 14 feet long, as opposed to the prone women only 12 feet. So that is an extra 2 foot of board there, or 2 less foot of board there, that I think has an easier time fitting in these little bumps and taking advantage of those, as opposed to that longer equipment.
Yeah, definitely the stand-up paddlers taking more advantage of those bumps, that longer board length, that longer board in the water. It's definitely going to glide a lot better as we take a drone angle there, just catching up with the field. That was Chilag Cautious. Behind her, Anaïs Guillemage of France. And then we'll move up into the top 3. You can see on the left of screen there, I believe now that is Alba Frey, who's dropped down into 3rd position. Mari Carmen looking like she's making a strong push in now 2nd position. And it is going to be Duna Gordillo of Spain out in front. So a little change up in the field there. Alba Frey dropping back. And I just mentioned she was really strong in the sprints. The distance now, Duna and Mari Carmen really pushing hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge for Marie Carmen to make that switch up there. Really interesting to see. This is their lap number 2. So you know, that first establishing lap, you kind of do hope that you've put enough work in to put some distance between your competitors, which they have this leading pack really separate from the rest of the pack. But now it's in lap number 2 that you can't always keep up that maybe initial pace, sprinting pace that you start out with. However, it was Marie-Carmen who maybe expended the most energy to get up to that position. So huge to now see that switch of her into that second place.
Yeah, especially after the start she had off the line, a little wave coming through, and it was Duna and Alba managing to get through that wave. The rest of the field got a little bit caught up, so Marie-Carmen has done a lot of work to get herself up into medal contention. As we take a look at Judith Vergès now turning on that inside buoy turn, so she's already come through the surf zone. Our prone women's distance paddleboarders. You can see behind her Yurika Horibe of Japan. Took a gold in the technical yesterday. Fantastic result from her.
And it is Judith hoping to get that gold here now. She has 4 silver medals in this long distance so far.
Oh, the dolphins out there. Is that I think that's actually a manta ray or a devil ray. My wife would be impressed. She's a marine biologist and studies manta rays. So it looked like the wingtips of a manta ray there following Eureka. So a little bit of good luck maybe in the water here of Surf City, El Salvador. As you see some beautiful scenes here. Waves approaching the lineup. We have both Eureka on the first one there and Thais of France just behind her. You see Eureka having to kick out because that buoy turn is right next to her now. But it is our French competitor Thais catching right up now to Eureka. This is going to really change up the situation here as they make their way into lap number 3.
And you know what? Huge, because we didn't get to see Judith take a wave in. So the advantage here is that they've actually just gotten a couple of seconds, not long, but a couple of seconds to rest those arms, you know, and just take that breath. They still have a bit of that gap in between them two and Judith, but that gap definitely closing in because of that.
Wow, so amazing scenes there as the competitors make their way through that buoy turn from the surf zone. We've got just about everything happening in this race. Those waves that you just saw. We also got some sea life happening. And as we catch up there, Yurika Horibe making her turn into the start of lap number 3. The final lap, they're going to be pushing hard, and especially the distance that Judith has on Eureka right now. Eureka's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But she has the experience of it. 2 long distance gold medals under her belt already. However, she did make a huge pass for that gold medal that she won yesterday. So, you know, maybe some choices there of where she wanted to expend her energy more this ISA event this year, so she could really round out those gold medals to her name. But taking back a look at the SUP race at the moment.
Yeah, Duna Gordillo on screen, currently leading the distance race for the women's SUP event. Behind her, Marie-Carmen. She's going to look to try and get her first gold medal in an ISA event. She was so close yesterday with her teammate Juliette Duhaime crossing the line together. Juliette getting the nod in the technical.
So they're entering the surf line now. It looks like potential bumps. You can see bumps in front of the athletes. Here, will there be bumps behind? More notably, will there be a bump by the time Marie-Carmen rounds the buoy for her to catch up?
Good question, Rachel. Let's hope there is a bit of action. It looks a bit sleepy out there at the moment. Alba Frey, not a stranger in the surf as well. We've seen her ride some beautiful waves yesterday, as we can see. Our prone paddler as well, Carla Matos of Brazil. She's in that 4th place, but take it away, Rachel. What were we going to say?
Well, we just see some strategy difference. Marie-Carmen darting towards that inside, hoping to get a shot at a wave here. And without those big sets on the line, she's going to that only opportunity being deeper. As we see a bump approaching, is this one that she will be able to get on?
It looks like Alba just missed it on the outside. Mara Carmen now can see it just over her shoulder. It looks like she is going to get onto this one. And Duna, is she going to get over the top of this one? She does manage to get over it. That's that 14 feet of length coming into play. Lots of glide. So Duna, Mara Carmen, looking like Alba Frey on the outside, maybe on another wave there behind her. She can't get into it, so it will be Duna Gordillo heading into the inside buoy turn in that first place. Mara Carmen now on her backhand. Look at this. She's making a charge up toward Duna. I think she's going to almost reach her by the time Duna gets to the buoy just with this ride. You can see her bracing with the paddle there, making sure that she is angling her board straight into this buoy turn. Duna's now just gone around that buoy turn as we see Mara Carmen hit that, and that is what can catch Mara Carmen up to Duna for this last lap. Great buoy turn there from Mara Carmen. She's going to put in the hard yards to try and catch Duna. Duna no stranger as a gold medalist in the distance before. But Alba Frey didn't manage to get a wave on the outside. We find her now on a wave on the inside. Lots of foam to deal with. Does well to stay right next to the white water on this one. Yeah, she's going to slingshot out of this with a lot of speed straight toward that buoy turn. And she stays on her feet for that. Very nicely done. Great technical riding there to transition from the wave back to that flat water paddling.
Yeah, that was huge. Really great read of the ocean from Marie Carmen to go deep in order to get onto that wave. Of course, Duna rounding that buoy first was too far ahead of that set to really take full advantage of it.
And we're going to throw it down to Ben Way. He's down on the beach. What is the vibe like down on the beach there, Ben?
Hey, thank you guys very much. So the vibe is high, a lot of stress as we just went through that little wave section out of the third buoy. I'm here with Team Spain's coach, Manuel Simoncelli. He's been their coach in our SUP events all the way since Hainan, China. He was also here in 2019 for the SUP World Championship, our first World Championship here in Surf City. So my questions today, he speaks great English, but we are going to ask the questions in Spanish. First question is going to be, we had a lot of swell, a lot of waves in the morning, and as we got in, we had a little bit of delay. The tide had gone out, and all of a sudden, all of those waves had disappeared. My question to him is going to be, how does that affect how his riders need to navigate through that third buoy as they come into the wave line? So I'm sure you understand my question.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think now with this condition, the rider has two options. So they can go to search the surf or just can go straight, more open, and avoid the waves. So they can choose the line. This morning was no option. They had to do the surf, but now it's fine. It's nice because you can choose the short way or the easy way and longer.
And another thing, I'm sure up until this event, your riders were training in much colder water, much colder conditions. How important is hydration, also kind of sustaining their energy in such hot conditions? Did you spend a lot of time before the competition getting ready and adjusting?
Yeah, of course. They have to do a rest, a long rest. They take their time to drinking all day, but after with this weather, they can spend a lot of time in the water because they don't spend energy keeping hot, you know. So one thing is difficult, but the other way is fine. So the balance is nice. They prefer this for sure than the cold weather.
That's great. My last question. It was great to get to see you guys here in 2019, our first ISA here in Surf City. How many changes have you seen in those 6 years in your comfort, the safety, and just your time here in Surf City?
Well, from the first time we came here, we are thinking every year to repeat the place. That for sure. The weather, the waves, the place for us is the best where we can go. And now we find a lot of better things, more comfortable, more easier. A lot of facilities here now is the perfect place.
Perfect. Well, you got your riders all in the first packs. Sure, a lot of people in Spain, a lot of fans of these riders at home. If you want to give them a quick message.
Thank you, guys. You keep pushing from there because they are listening to you, okay? Choose for everyone who is follow us.
Thank you so much, Manolo.
Thank you, Tyler.
Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Ben. Great to hear some insights there into Team Spain with their coach on the sand. Team Spain, of course, doing very well. Judith Verges currently leading the prone women. Also, we have Duna Gordillo leading the women's SUP, but also not too far behind in third place, Alba Frey. She is trying to catch up to Mara Carmen there on screen. So it is Alba at the bottom there, Mara Carmen on the right, Duna Gordillo on the left-hand side there, out in front currently at the moment, still holding a good gap ahead of Mara Carmen there, Rachel.
Yeah, she sure is. So I'm sure she was very much aware of Marie Carmen getting that wave behind her, and so making that final push because she's on this third lap now.
Yeah, and these are our prone women leaders now. They are heading all the way down the coastline here. This is going to be the second buoy turn on their final lap. It will be Judith Verges. It actually looks like it's Eureka Haribe and Thais there. And I think Judith is way out in front in this distance race for her. Rachel, what is the difference between the knee paddling and the lying down paddling, the kind of on your stomach paddling? Is there any kind of difference in that? Is there a different energy expenditure, using different muscles?
Yeah, well, actually, going on to your knee paddling, you're using a lot more of your leg muscles. You can see their strategies. Next time we see someone on their knees, they're really leaning their chest forward, obviously opting for that double stroke of the arm, and it uses a lot more energy. You also can get some board speed built up as well, utilizing those bumps with the waves. So we have been seeing the women opt for that knee paddling a little bit more on this leg because of those small bumps that they can try and use to their advantage. As we see, there we go, that's Eureka opting for her knees. So this is kind of where you go for maybe a little bit more of that sprint, leaning that chest forward. And I think it's also, since you are using different muscles on these long distance, it's kind of a way to refresh some of your other muscles that you've been using while prone. And it's nice to have that opportunity to switch it up.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it would be nice to switch between the two, just to either kind of rest those different muscles and then also engage a little bit more of that power stroke here. You can see Eureka and Thais now opting to both be on their knees, trying to catch some downwind bumps. I feel like that's a really good strategy as well, to get up on their knees, to be able to find those bumps and stick with them as well. We see the competitors always switch to their knees when riding the waves as well.
Yeah, like you said, it just gives you a different perspective as well to reading the bumps on the ocean, which can be really crucial in having that energy, or conserving that energy so that you can expend it at the right times and push at the right times. As we take a look, catch back up into our stand-up race.
Yeah, that was Alba. She is just in that third place, doing very well though, pushing strong to try and catch up to Mara Carmen, who is currently in second. Duna Gordillo though out in front at the moment. Things could change, especially on this final lap. And we do have confirmation that the women's SUP and the women's prone both on their final lap. So after they come through the surf buoy, they're going to head out to that middle buoy, round that and head back toward the beach. It is going to be a beach finish. And it's always interesting, a beach finish, especially after a distance race where you've been up so long on your legs, or even when you're in the prone paddling, lying down, to then go into a sprint for the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I know in experience for me on the prone, it's almost like your legs are so wobbly. They are using their legs in that kneeling position when they do jump up on their knees, but it is so exhausting to jump onto the sand. It's almost like you have no use of your legs because you've been using them to stabilize your board the whole time, same as the SUP women standing in that one single position and just using all of their ankle, all of those hip, small twitch muscles to stay really stabilized on their boards, to then have to, in an instant, flash forward to sprinting is an unbelievable athleticism.
So Duna Gordillo, she is the 3-time distance gold. Excuse me, she's a 3-time consecutive medalist here at the ISA, winning gold, silver, and bronze. She's also won the technical racing. She's just one of the most complete athletes, and of course representing Spain alongside Alba Frey. Kind of an unstoppable force, and that's why we saw Team Spain take the win in the team rankings last year in Denmark. Their racing lineup of athletes is really strong, and as is this year as well here in Surf City, El Salvador. So Duna Gordillo out in front, and Mara Carmen looking for that first gold medal here at an ISA. She's got silver last year, bronze the year before that. And she has also podiumed in the sprint and technical races. So a very decorated athlete of our sport.
I think really incredible to be seeing the standout women in those races yesterday continue to be the standout women in these races today. Of course, our technical race winner, Juliette, yesterday, not in this race at the moment, but it was Duna, Alba, and Marie Carmen in all of that second, third, and fourth conversation. And then Chilak getting that gold in the juniors technical, sitting in fourth at the moment too. So huge standout performances yesterday, continue to have huge standout performances today.
Oh, definitely. As we now see the 2 leaders on screen, the women's SUP on the left, the women's prone on the right. It is Judith Verges on the right. Excuse me, I think that's actually Eureka Horibe on screen. Current second place at the moment, so we will get confirmation of where Judith is in the lineup. We'll see if the positions have changed, but that is Eureka on screen. Duna Gordillo on the left there, just overtaking our paddler there. You can see Duna pushing hard, really creating some distance between her and Mara Carmen. I think this was about the same distance as they rounded the buoy before, and we saw Mara Carmen also able to catch a wave. So we'll see if that is going to change things up as they make their way out toward that buoy turn. They're about 3/4 of the way up toward that buoy turn. And then we are going to throw it down to Matu on the boat. Tell us, Matu, how are the athletes looking on their final lap?
Well, she's still a bit far from us, but about 200-300 meters away from us. Judith Verges is very much at the front. She's paddling strong. She looks like she's got the stamina. She's still going strong. She just changed position. She's now moving to her knees, and she's got a huge lead now, 300 meters at least in front of the Japanese Eureka Oribe at the back. So same 2 athletes at the front from yesterday, but change of position. We now have the technical 3-time technical race world champion who seems to be likely to be taking a gold medal today in the long distance. Judith Verges from Gran Canaria, actually originally from Catalonia. The Spaniard on that yellow bark board changed again position. Now her leash is properly set around her ankle, and she's got that huge margin. She's got 1K to go, and in about 6-7 minutes she should be picking up her very first long distance gold medal. That's your leader in the prone division.
In that second place, trying her best to catch up to Judith Verges of Spain. A real commanding lead for Judith. I think she wants to get one back for Eureka from yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a switch up from the disciplines that we're used to seeing these women really excel in. So I love seeing that they're just dominant performance over these past 2 days. has been huge. And there we see Judith moving back from her knees to her stomach. She's keeping a great pace up, trying to maximize use of those bumps on this leg of the race. This is the longest leg of the race.
She's just cruising, it looks like. She knows she's got quite a commanding lead, so I think maybe conserving energy for the last kind of, obviously the surf zone, but then also that final sprint toward the beach. Duna Gordillo now switching up into the women's SUP distance. She is out in front. Mara Carmen now a little bit further behind. Alba Frey behind Mara Carmen there. A little bit of a split. I wonder if that's Alba Frey on the top left of screen there, or if it's just behind. I think it is actually. So I think Alba Frey taking a very different line here out toward the outside buoy turn, number 3.
Really interesting. I mean, as we were just saying, this is that longest part of the course for these athletes. And so you can see a bit of those maybe current differences, or, you know, we can look at the bumps at the moment, pushing actually a little bit more at an angle. So maybe she went on that angle to maximize the use of those bumps a little bit more.
There's Duna Gordillo there, currently out in front. You can see this great drone angle here, showcasing all the athletes down to that buoy turn right down the end there. She's coming up very closely to the buoy turn as we catch up. It looks like Judith Vergez on screen there, the prone on the left-hand side of screen. She's making her way back in, looking likely there's not going to be a wave for her. She's realized that, Rachel. She's taken that inside line straight in toward that inside buoy.
Yeah, with the lead that she has at the moment too, not something she has to necessarily risk with how much distance between her and Yorica. You know, potentially she will have already rounded that bottom buoy by the time Yorica rounds that top buoy. We haven't seen Yorica come into this angle of the screen yet. But like we've been saying, there are those two strategies, whether to go deep. You're actually extending the line and length in which you're paddling in order to get into that surf line. So it is a choice, but it is a risk that can be well rewarded.
Yeah, it certainly can be a risk or reward as we catch up with your leaders on the screen. And we see Yurika Haribe now rounding the buoy on the outside. So she's currently in second place for the women's distance race.
This is where we have the opportunity to see some change-ups. It doesn't look like we have lines on the horizon, but things can change quickly, because if Yorica was able to get away from out there, that would help her really catch up to get into a sprint finish with our leader, Judy.
That's right there. So we do also see Duna Gordillo on that left-hand side of screen coming in to that surf zone now, rounding that outside buoy. And she'll be followed by Mari Carmen Rivera. Just behind her, Alba Frey. So that's your top 3. I do believe Chilag is in 4th still. That is the top medal contention as we take a look at also the prone women's distance. Judith Vergez in 1st. We've got Yurika Haribe of Japan in 2nd. Thais Darou of France in 3rd position. And I believe it's Carla Matos of Brazil in that 4th position. So that's your top 4 medalists currently in the distance race for the women. Judith Vergez now coming into that inside buoy turn, but it looked like Duna Gordillo possibly had a little bump behind her. I think it was a very small wave, so not being able to get on top of that. Mara Carmen now around that outside buoy behind her. You can see not too far away. If there are sets that do come through, it could shake things up as we are getting close to the finish here. Remember, this is the final lap. Athletes will head back out to that middle buoy, turn around that and head straight back in toward the beach for a sprint finish. Duna really putting in some hard yards, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. Really amazing on these runs to have not seen any sets come through in that same timing, because we do know there are big sets on the horizon, as we have seen in some of the other laps. So really interesting to see this quiet, not much shakeup unless any mistakes are happening around the buoys. It looks like the standings will come in as is, and we do see Duna getting a ride in, so that will help her lead extend. We do see some lines behind. Looks like Marie-Carmen trying to get on that one, isn't quite able to get on that wave. She might get an opportunity behind it, but that little ride there really helps Duna extend her lead.
Wow, what a great opportunity there for Duna to create a bit more space. Feeling a little bit more confident, bit more comfortable. Marie-Carmen now on a wave, though, on the outside. So she's going to look to really angle that board across. But we do see the prone women distance leader on screen, Judith Verges of Spain, looking for her first gold medal in a distance event. She's done very well this whole race to keep that lead. We saw her, Eureka, and Thais really close together at the start, but she's really made some separation now. She's already taken off the leash, Rachel, as she heads in toward the beach.
Yeah, kicking those legs, using that momentum, giving it everything she has right until the end, as we see Eureka and Duna rounding that final buoy together.
So Duna now heading straight in toward the beach to finish the women's SUP. And it will be Judith Verges of Spain taking the win here for the distance women as she makes her way into the beach.
You can see her team there waiting to collect her board, handing off the flag. Doesn't have to be a sprint finish because she did the work in the water. It is our new world champion.
What a fantastic performance from her to take a gold medal here. Judith Verges of Spain. Let's listen in. Wow, great scenes on the beach there. Team Spain doing very well because Yurika Haribe right behind her in Japan. But Team Spain, Duna Gordillo, this is your current leader in the women's distance SUP race. She is making her way into the beach now as she prepares to detach the leash as she makes her way in. Marie-Carmen in second behind her. That's got a sting again from Marie-Carmen. Duna Gordillo there riding this one into the beach.
Yeah, she did well to hang on to that one, takes the leash off, beaches this one straight to the sand, and she is sprinting up. It is a Spain 1-1, two world champions.
Duna Gordillo, gold medalist here for the women's distance SUP race. I love that team camaraderie there. Wow, Judith Verges and also Duna Gordillo. Yurika Haribe putting on a great performance, Team Japan. She's making her way up the sand now as she grabs her nation's flag. And she's gonna not worry about it. She's gonna cross the line, make sure she gets a good time on this distance race. So Yurika Haribe, very well done from her. She did a fantastic job trying to catch Judith Verges in the last moments there. And it will look likely to be Marie-Carmen taking the silver medal here of the women's distance race.
A huge push from her that she was able to manage after a start that was a little bit unlucky with the shore break. She had a huge sprint, an incredible performance to get up into that second place position. Marie-Carmen running in, smiling big, earning that silver medal.
Yeah, Team Puerto Rico, Marie-Carmen Rivera in that silver medal. We have Thais making her way in here. Team France alongside Team Spain for the SUP. That's Alba Frey. And they're going to run up the beach together, both taking the bronze medal in their respective divisions. You can see Thais there crossing the line. Team France, that will be your prone distance women's bronze. Alba Frey, the SUP distance bronze medalist there from Team Spain. And of course, Duna Gordillo on screen, the winner of the distance race. Also Team Spain. Wow, some great team points there awarded.
Like you said, Team Spain proving so dominant previously and coming back with that same sort of dominance today.
They certainly are. Team France also doing quite well in that exchange. And Team Japan, as we now turn our attention to our copper medalists. Let's see if it is still Csillag Kocsis of Hungary in that 4th position in the women's SUP, and Carla Matos of Brazil in the 4th place for the women's distance prone. It's going to be interesting to see if there was a shake-up, especially if there were any waves ridden throughout those beach finishes as we saw. But it is Csillag Kocsis here taking the copper medal so far. She looks like she has a pretty commanding lead over 5th place.
Wow, huge performance from her, becoming back-to-back gold medalist yesterday in the juniors technical, and now earning herself a copper in the open distance racing. It's not over yet, but she has done a lot of work to put herself in this commanding position over that copper, as we see waves on the horizon for potentially some of the other women in the pack to catch up. It doesn't look like anyone is in position to really utilize those waves. Where were those waves when we were seeing some of those flat spells earlier?
Exactly, but it looked like one of the competitors getting mixed up in the whitewater there. But on screen, a fantastic performance, as you said, mixing it up with the opens. This junior competitor from Hungary, Csillag Kocsis, makes her way in 4th place. She's definitely got to be happy with that. Just hits the eject button there. Very smart move as she makes her way into the beach. And she'll swim. Athletes and competitors having to cross the line with their paddle in the SUP distance race. As she's now swimming through that shore break, really coming into play as this tide starts to drop out. You can see there, Csillag, the jersey just going up. It is so powerful. I'm so surprised at how powerful the waves are here. Obviously coming from that open ocean swell, swimming in. Luckily, she had a lot of distance between her and Anaïs Guillaumache of France. Csillag still in the shore break there. And Csillag, she's raced the technical yesterday in the juniors, the technical, the women's as well yesterday, and now taking a copper medal here in the women's distance race. A fantastic performance from her. She's going to be very, very happy with that performance. Great scenes, Rachel, as she crosses the line.
Yeah, you can see that exhaustion. She can finally take a deep breath, being our most active participant, like you said, racing every race we have held so far, yesterday and today. And that was really good that she was able to put that much distance in between her and our next racer here coming in, because that was a tricky shore break section. You know, losing her board, she had already taken her leash off, and then getting stuck in that trough took her a little bit of time to get out. But fortunately, she'd put enough work out in the race on the water.
And this is Anaïs Guillaumache coming in 5th place, but let's throw it down to Dave Bainey. He's got a very happy athlete right next to him.
Thank you, guys. I'm down here with the new distance champion here, Duna Gordillo, Team Spain. This is your 2nd gold medal in the distance. How does this one compare? How are you feeling? How did that race go?
I competed with 2022, I think, in Puerto Rico. In this race, I stay with the two strong women, Mari Carmen and Alba, and in Puerto Rico with Espe that we really want she to stay here, but this year is not possible. But it's the same hard race, a little bit shorter, 9 kilometers or 10, I think. So I stay stronger in these conditions with a little bit downwind, big waves. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and you looked really incredible out there. You were able to break free and kind of be out on your own. Was there any point of the race? I saw you make a couple looks at the buoy turn just to see where your competitors were, but you always seem to extend the gap and keep going. You know, what was your strategy? How were those bumps on the way back?
I never have a strategy, but it's true that at the start, at the beginning of the race, I see behind me if the two women are behind, but then I was thinking that I'm not going to watch anymore, so doing my race, take the waves and do it.
Spoken like a true champion. So when you were coming through the waves there, you know, you got that wave and then you had an opportunity. You saw Marie Carmen kind of slide in there maybe on the second lap. Were you thinking, you know, does it change your strategy or were you just staying focused? You managed to stay so composed that race. You just were so impressive all throughout. It really showed.
Yes, I saw the Mari Carmen's waves. I didn't have the opportunity of this wave, but I paddle focus at the final of the race. And yes, paddle hard.
Paddle hard is always a good idea. Do you want to say thank you and say hello to anybody at home?
Yes, to all the Team Spain that always support me here in the ISA, and all my family and my friends, the Port Adriano Mar Balear club. That is my club since I was 18 years old. So I love you.
And there you have it, your world champion here in El Salvador, 2025 distance champion, Duna Gordillo. Let's go back up to you guys in the booth.
Thanks very much, Dave. Duna, really strong paddler, making it another gold medal in the distance racing. As we now see competitors making their way in. I believe that is Carla Matos of Brazil. She is running up the beach here. This is for the copper medal position. We also see our Japanese paddler coming in. So great scenes here down on the beach as Sveva Spato crosses the line in 6th place for the women's SUP. And we see, just having to navigate the shore break there as she makes her way through. Be great to see the update on the prone technical and who took that 4th place, as we see Otono Harata crossing the line in 7th position for the women's SUP. And a fantastic performance there from our competitor, Claudia Posilone of Italy, the young athlete. Really making her presence felt in the junior divisions in previous years, doing very well here as we see this shore break finish here from a couple of athletes. Oh, I love that layback onto the paddle there. She did well to navigate the nose of that board and keep it above from nose diving.
So, looks to me...
This is Lana Ribeiro of Brazil.
She just has to watch out for that board behind her. It looks like at first she had that leash still on her leg. That board stayed next to her. I was wondering if maybe she was going to jump back on it to get out of this shore break a little bit, but nope. Both of them opting to swim that last little bit in.
Iona Rivet of France there, making her way in across the line. And that's going to be ahead of Lucia Klemboski of Argentina. So great finish there from the women. And as you were saying, some tense moments there navigating that shore break, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, coming in with these waves, it's getting lower tide. So we're not seeing those really big shore break waves that we do see during that high tide, but really technical stuff of having to navigate 14-foot boards. There is that deep trough and then back to shallow, which is causing these waves to just act a little bit funky into that shoreline and making it really difficult to navigate for the athletes.
So there you have your top 10 finishes for the women's distance race up on screen there. You see Team Brazil in that 10th and 9th place. And then just outside of that, Iona of France in 11th, Lucia in 12. And let's take a look at the highlight reel from our women's prone distance racing. They got off to a good start here, navigating the waves very well, but it was Judith Verges there out in front from the get-go. Eureka Haribe and Thais Deroux of France really fighting for that top position, but I think this is where Judith really ran away with it.
Yeah, all three of the women opting to draft off of each other at the beginning. We see them stay clustered together, while the rest of the pack there you can see already having some distance in between them right off the bat, while those front three really run away with it. Rounding that buoy. You can see this is where Judith starts to make a break for it, opting to jump onto those knees.
Well, Eureka Haribe was right behind her there on this back stretch, the longest section between buoy turns. And then as they hit the surf, things just went really quiet there. So Judith Verges getting ahead. And that was really the story for the rest of the race. Eureka Haribe hanging on to second in that silver medal. And Thais of France in that third bronze medal position. But great conditions for prone racing as well, especially if there are a few bumps. It makes it hard, but look at these scenes, Rachel.
Yeah, they, of course, have the option to opt in whether to take advantage of these waves or not. This was on that last lap of Eureka and Thais taking advantage of those beautiful sets coming through.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race from your athlete on screen. Judith Verges of Spain taking the gold medal in the distance, her first distance gold medal. And she's gonna put that to her collection of medals from previous ISA World Championships. The prone paddleboard women, and of course, Team Spain doing very well in the women's SUP. So great scenes on the beach there to celebrate. As we still have some athletes to make their way in, but we're going to throw it down to Dave Bainey. He's with Judith Verges down there on the glass.
Hey, thank you, Bo. Like you're saying, Team Spain cleaning up with the gold medals here. We got world champion Judith Verges from Spain. It's your first world title here, distance champion. How does that feel?
Feels really, really good. It's so special for me because in the last championship that was here in El Salvador, I lost the gold. I was disqualified. So coming back here 6 years from that championship, and win that this long distance, it's so special for me.
A little redemption must feel good. Tell us about the conditions here. You know, we were watching you guys getting lots of glides on that back stretch. You looked really strong through there. You know, through the surf, really nice, really technical. You had a nice, solid race. You know, how did you feel overall?
I feel that when we go in that direction, we got some bumps, but it was quite hard and really, really hot. So you get really exhausted. But then when we turn the boil, I think for me the surfing was really good. I was catching a lot of runners, and also we've got some slightly wind that gets a little bit refreshed. So I enjoyed it a lot, and it was a technical race.
That is awesome. And so when you come to the beach, you have your whole team there. You know, they just had Duna Gordillo win, so now you're coming in and you win. I mean, how does that feel for them to all, you know, just grab you and celebrate?
Oh, it was so good. I feel so happy. Could arrive, and then seeing Duna arriving also first, it was so special. All the team, we are a big team, so we're like a family, so I'm really, really happy.
That is awesome. So you want to give any final thanks or shout outs, anybody watching at home?
Yes, my mom is watching me from Banyoles, so I want to give her a big hug to my family, and that I'll see them soon.
Congratulations, world champion Judith Verges from Spain. And are you competing again tomorrow?
I don't know if the relays, if they are going to do the relays, we are going to compete. If not,
You're right. Well, thank you. Enjoy this. You will have a nice celebration, and back to you guys up in the booth.
Such an emotional win there for Judith Verges. Fantastic performance from Team Spain. They've got to be very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, to go 2 world champions now already, huge effort to those overall team points that, of course, all the teams are vying for. As much as we are crowning individual world champions, at the end of this week, we will crown an overall team champion too. So these gold medals being really crucial in adding to that rankings points.
As we see the prone distance there up on screen, you see 4th place, Lizette Perez of Puerto Rico. She did well to make her way up into copper medal position. As we also see Flaminia Monti of Italy crossing the line in 5th position. So it'll be Spain, Japan, France, and Puerto Rico on the podium. Great showing from all competitors. Let's throw it to the highlights from the SUP distance race for the women. And what an interesting start this was here, Rachel.
Yeah, let's re-watch this one as you can see that wave coming up, crashing over them and knocking so many of them off. Alba and Duna escaping from the chaos, but it was Marie Carmen who did get stuck in that chaos. She started on the other side of that start line and unfortunately had to use this time to basically sprint effort. You can see her on the outside with that orange nose coming around. She did great to go all the way from virtually that below 10th place up to what we now know a silver medal, but it was the 2 Spaniards who made breakaway first.
Yeah, Alba Frey putting on a great performance there alongside teammate Duna Gordillo. You can see Alba took the lead from Duna for a while, and it was kind of a 1-2, and then this happened. Alba up and riding on a wave there on the right-hand side of screen. Duna just next to her, but Mara Carmen really nipping at the heels there. And we also see that Sveva Sabato up and riding as well. Oh, sorry, that's Duna Gordillo there. Managed to get on the outside of that wave as she made her way up. So they were really close at one point.
And that was huge, that fall from Marie Carmen. Unfortunately, catching that outside nose edge. She had put so much effort to make it back up towards that leading position, and that effort, that fall kind of reestablishing that distance. This is that lap number 2 that we're looking at. So fortunately, she did get a wave here. At this point, it was Duna.
Wow, they got really close though.
They got really close. Sorry, Alba in the lead, Marie Carmen in second. Duna now rounding in 3rd. And yeah, you can see towards the top of your screen, Marie Carmen and Alba so close, but it is at this point that Alba just really pushes that breakaway.
Yeah, so it was Duna ahead on that wave there as she now makes her way through in that lead position. Duna Gordillo heading back in toward the beach as we see Mara Carmen making her way in around that buoy turn for that silver medal. But it is all about Team Spain right now, with Duna Gordillo taking the win here in the women's distance SUP race. A fantastic performance from her alongside Judith Verges in the prone women's distance. You can see them both there celebrating their wins. Team Spain very happy with that performance. And we've got a lot more action still to come here for the 2025 ISA World SUP and Paddleboard Championship. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you're watching from. If you're watching on isasurf.org or Facebook Live, make sure you do comment. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're supporting. It's been great to have you along on this ride. I'm Bo Nixon, joined with Rachel Tilley here. We're calling the action. We're going to be switching it up into the men's racing after this. So we're going to be taking a short break, and then we'll be coming back with the distance prone for the men and also the distance SUP.
Yeah, similar to what we just saw on the women's side, it will be a staggered start. The men prone starting first, staggered start, then to see the SUP men start their race shortly after that. So will be a great race. That last one with the women has me so fired up. Team Spain being so dominant. So we'll see how that translates now. Who's dominant going into these men's races?
I still think Team Spain is going to feel really dominant in the men's, both the prone and for the stand-up as well. They've got such a strong team this year. I think we also need to comment on Team Japan, because they are going to be looking very strong in the men's race, especially with Shuriaraki here returning to fight for another gold medal. He's already got 2 gold medals in the distance, 3 gold medals now in the technical. He missed out last year in Denmark competing, but it's going to be great to see him back here in El Salvador.
Yeah, and feeling so great after that really dominant performance yesterday afternoon, getting that gold medal. No one seemed to be able to touch him, so I'm sure he'll be going in with that confidence. And then seeing Japan get that second place in the prone women's just now, so they're already having that great team energy going.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We are going to be coming right back with action for the men's prone and the men's SUP, the best athletes in the world competing here, the ISA World SUP and Paddleboard Championship, live from Surf City, El Salvador. Hello and welcome back to live action here in Surf City, El Salvador for the 2025 ISA World SUP and Paddleboard Championship. We are bringing you scenes down on the beach here of El Sunzal, the prone men's distance race almost ready to kick off. And then we're also going to be moving into the SUP distance race shortly after that. So a big day of distance racing. You're already seeing the women's distance champions being crowned. Gold medalists in both the prone and the SUP. Fantastic performances from Spain in both of those divisions. Of course, Judith Verges winning the women's distance prone and Duna Gordillo winning the women's distance SUP. Athletes down on the start line there for the men. You see Maël Tissier on screen there, number 39. He's from France. He won the technical race yesterday, looked very, very strong. He managed to get a good lead ahead of the rest of the field. Let's see if he can do the same today, but he has some stiff competition from Team Spain. David Buil, a multiple medalist here at the ISA World Paddleboard Championship. He took gold back in 2023, so he's going to have a really strong competition here. My name is Bo Nixon, joined in the booth by Dave Bainey to call the action for the men's race. Dave, what a fantastic start from the women this morning.
Yeah, what a race. I mean, that was a crazy start. They got that closeout. You know, obviously the Marie Carmen basically virtually last. Fights back, was in third. All of a sudden she's in second. But, man, the story was Duna Gordillo just kind of distancy, breaking the pack and able to hang on. That was an impressive race.
Yeah, Alba Frey in the mix as well in the SUP race. She was in lead at one point as well in that race.
Yeah, Team Spain looking so strong. And fortunately, Alba just looked like she might have bonked just a little bit, but man, she held it together for a strong bronze medal.
And Judith Verges, of course, winning her first gold in the distance race. She's a multiple silver medalist. And also, of course, behind her, Eureka Haribe, multiple gold medalist as well in the distance. But taking the silver medal here for the distance prone. But we are turning our attention toward the men's division. Any names to look out for yourself in the SUP division?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Shuri Shrimpy Araki from Japan. You know, won the technical race yesterday. He's also, you know, I would say a slight favorite. There he is on the screen to take the distance as well. You know, Aaron Sanchez as well. You know, this is one of his fortes. You know, Fernando Perez, Arthur Rukin, Ethan Brie. You know, there's so many here.
You could name the whole list, I think, Dave.
I mean, we're at the World Championships. The best paddlers in the world are here. But, yes, the distance is going to be another exciting race. I love this course we have set up. You know, a lot of the waves coming into play, and looks like the prones are lining up. There's the heat draw right there, the prone distance men's final.
Yeah, Andrea Rossi, Italy, David Buil, Spain, Brandon Garcia, Puerto Rico, Ganda Tawastiona of Canada, Maël Tissier of France, Jada Andrade, Brazil, Federico Rakowski of Argentina, Lucas Polman of the USA, Sonomura of Japan, Angus Holcomb of Guatemala, Hernan Mozambique of Peru, and it's Zezorz Monchak of Poland in the mix. So competitors, a standing water start here for the men's prone distance race. We will see Anthony Vella calling the start of this race here. We saw Maël Tissier win the technical yesterday, as mentioned. Going to be looking strong in this one. But it's going to be David Buil starting on the left of screen. He's positioned himself on the far left there. So opting to take kind of that, I guess, outside route, and the men are off to a start here. You can see he's actually positioning himself a bit further back in the field. Maël Tissier now out in front by the looks of things to kick off the men's prone. As we see Gander there on the left side of screen, representing Canada. As we take a look, it looks like Team Argentina. That's Federico as well up in the mix. So we do have Maël Tissier there. He's on the yellow board. David Buil closest to us on that white board there. Just behind him, it is Lucas of the USA and Federico on the outside there on that colorful board of Argentina. So that is your top four at the moment. Competitors really starting to collide with each other there as they squeeze out toward this first buoy turn. Remember, a 3-lap course So total around just over 9 kilometers for these athletes. And Mael starting to get up onto his knees, but it is going to be Federico who's going to make a push in the start of this to try and get out in front. We saw him yesterday put on a good performance in the technical, but he did lose a bit of steam as the race went on. We'll see if he can hang on to it for the distance race. Team USA also doing really well there, Dave.
Yeah, he's just kind of sitting there right in the middle of those two. We're going to throw it down to Matu in the boat as we see the heat leaders rounding the first buoy.
So as we see Federico there moving in toward this buoy turn, we'll get Matu on the boat very shortly for you. As we see Mael Tissier there now closest to screen, Lucas Pullman next to him. Then we have Federico, David making a charge for it now up on the inside. So that's your top 4 currently. Also looking like we've got Andrea Rossi in the mix of Italy. He's not far behind there. And Federico there dropping right back. Interesting. I wonder what happened there. He's gone right off of screen now. So it looks like it is going to be Andrea Rossi of Italy moving up. And we'll throw it down to Matu in the boat. Matu, what can you see for us down there?
Okay. Hey there, I saw a great push just before the buoy by Federico Raskowski, the Argentinian, trying to impress the Frenchman, Mael Tissier, who was off to a great start, just like yesterday in the technical race. So the favorites are positioning themselves at the very front. Federico, Mael, so France and Argentina, but also David Biel. He is the 2023 long distance world champion that was in Les Sables d'Olonne in France. So he's at the front as well. And we have in that in the top 4 or top 5 at the front, Lucas Pullman from the USA. He was silver medalist yesterday, so definitely count on him as well for a candidacy to the podium in this long distance. But there is also Jader Andrade from Brazil at the front, so that's our top 5 currently. Back to you.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Looks like Federico has done a bit of catching up. So Nomura there also on the right-hand side of the bottom of screen from Team Japan getting in the mix. So he's up into that 5th place there. And you can see all these competitors right next to each other. It's very different scenes what we saw from the women earlier on today. We saw already a bit of a spread from the women, but the men really staying close to each other. They don't want to lose the leading paddler. Otherwise, it's going to make it very difficult to catch back up. They want to maybe even look to get into a draft train there, Dave.
Yeah, and you know what's cool about prone is they get a lot closer than stand-up paddlers. You can see right there how they're just so clustered. You know, a lot of times they're bumping elbows and scraping each other, and you know it's a little more gritty. And you got to imagine there's a little bit more chatter between the guys, you know, when they're competing. But you know, it's all about trying to ride the wash, kind of fit in the little, you know, swells and the draft, and get those little glides and stay in that pack.
So David Buil on the right-hand side there. You've got Mael Tissier in the middle on that yellow board. And you've got Lucas of the USA. So Nomura now making a push on the left-hand side there. So of Team Japan. He looks like he's out into the lead right now, making a push. It's still a long way to go until that next buoy turn. So we'll see if the standings do change. But it is Andrea Rossi right behind Mael now. He's doing very well to keep up with the lead pack. That's going to be your top 5 there. Things getting interesting at the start of this race as we see them make their way in. A couple of different techniques there. You see Mael's up on his knees there, Dave, and the other paddler's laying down.
Yeah, I noticed that in the tech race as well. He did go on his knees quite a bit more. And Lucas was kind of the exact opposite. Stays in the prone position a lot longer. It's really interesting to see the Japanese paddler So Nomura kind of going off on their side on his own. Hasn't really ridden any draft thus far in this race when he's been, you know, right next to those guys. You know, why not take advantage of that? But he's right there. Seems like he's settling into maybe a little bit of a draft behind Lucas now, and he does. So we got a pack of 4 and just about a 5th one hanging on there as well. So nice competitive group of leaders still.
Yeah, so Andrea Rossi there. Also behind him, That is Jada Andrade of Brazil. And then behind Jada, it looked like we had Federico of Argentina. As we see just how far the athletes are making their way down the beach here for buoy turn number 2. They'll make their way around that and then head back toward El Sunzal, the surf zone, where we've seen some very interesting changes, especially yesterday in the technical races. Not so much today in the distance, just the way the rhythm of the ocean's been. Athletes have found themselves either just with a couple of smaller waves or the field has been split already, so no real changes in the standings. As you see there, David Buil, he's obviously hanging on next to Maël Tissier and Lucas Polman. So those are the top 3 there next to each other. So Nomura just behind them. He's going to try and stay with them, at least for this first lap. And then we'll see some strategy come into play, Dave, because we've seen athletes push on the second lap, and we've seen some of them save their energy for the final lap.
Yeah, kind of, you know, seems like athletes like to make at least an effort to make a move at each buoy turn as well. You know, they kind of sprint into them and sprint out of them just to see if you could shake your fellow competitor around that buoy and just get a slight advantage. You know, these longer stretches, you'll see them tend to settle in a little bit more, kind of draft, stick together, just get a nice pace, not really push it all too much. But it will be interesting to see once they start rounding on that long leg to see who does try to push it and create some sort of gap.
As you can see scenes there on the left-hand side of your screen of the men's SUP distance race lining up now on the beach. That is Fernando on screen there. Right next to him, Aaron Sanchez, and then Shrimpy Shuriaraki next to him. So athletes taking position based on the country's team standings from the previous year. And you can see a little bit of tactics there coming into play, choosing a different line there, Dave.
Yeah, you do see the top seeds. We have noticed that they have chosen the far lane on the left, which has proved to be the safer route. You know, Marie Carmen, unfortunately, in the women's distance was way over to the right, and she got, you know, had to contend with a larger set wave. So, yeah, these guys know what they're doing. You know, if you get that seed, you got to use it wisely.
So it'll be Hernan Rodriguez of Chile, Oliver Papa, Puerto Rico, Christian Lopez, also Puerto Rico, Augusto Leva of Argentina, Christoph Connery of Chile, Aaron Sanchez, as we said, from Spain, Mikuláš Marsden of Poland. We have Edonay Caballero of Panama, Campbell Carter of the USA, Nicolo Rico of Italy, David Alpino of Italy as well, and then Sutaro Kikuchi of Japan, Guilherme dos Reis of Brazil, Dong Hajang representing Korea, and Fernando Perez Serra of Spain, and Eddie Tenorio of Brazil. That is just the first page of athletes. Itzel Delgado also in the mix from Peru, Andres Rodriguez from Peru as well, Jakub Kubiak of Poland, Cameron Carney from Canada, Arthur Rukin of Team France, Nacho Arias of Argentina, Ethan Brie of France, and Shuri Araki, their 2-time distance gold medalist, rounding out the men's SUP distance list. Some big names there, Dave.
Yeah, well done, Bo. I was very impressed with you going straight down the list of that one. Nicely done.
Yeah, I did wonder why we didn't see some names there. And then, of course, the list. A lot of athletes in this. I believe there are 25 athletes on the start line for the men's SUP distance race. And we're going to look to get a start. Dave, I'll throw it over to you as these athletes are about to hit the water.
Yep, so all in position like we've seen. About knee-high in the surf there. Anthony Vela watching the water closely. Looks like he's going to send him out in any second now. Racers anticipating the start. We've seen so many times how crucial this start is through the little shore break here.
Interesting to see the races there, the positions they've taken. You can see Eddie Tenorio there in the flying fish board. He is just positioning himself a little bit further back than the rest of the competitors, maybe opting to get a little bit more of a run-up as they start here, Dave.
Yeah, that's a good call. little more momentum if you get a really good glide. You do risk getting pinched off, between two racers. So different tactics, different, ways to make you feel comfortable to get the best start possible. These guys practice these beach starts endlessly. It's a really good skill to have in stand-up paddleboard racing.
Looks like Itzel maybe on the right-hand side of screen.
Yeah, that is Itzel Delgado all the way down on the right. And you see he's got a little bit of gap between the other guys, so he wants to, make sure he's not interfered with anybody, so he's got a nice little open lane. So here we go. The start is off. Here comes a little set wave. Just when you think there wasn't one, here it is. And it's messing with some riders right there. See Arthur Rukin get a little bit mixed up, but he's sprinting ahead. So there's Shuri Arakaki right there in the middle of your screen. Ethan Brie right behind him. He's going to jump on his tail. And then we also got Aaron Sanchez and Fernando Perez. They're on those starboards right in the middle of the screen there. So Team Spain, Japan, and France getting a nice start. So I see, looks like Aaron Sanchez, Shuri Arakaki, and Fernando Perez, your top three. We're going to drop it down to Mathieu in the boat to get us this buoy turn.
Absolutely, guys. Shuri Araki off to a great start, as you would expect. And next to him, it's a starboard. And I believe it's Fernando Perez Era, the Andalusian, actually reaching the buoy in first position right next to Shuri Araki. Just behind them, we've got Aaron Sanchez, indeed, from Port Adriano, Mallorca, but also the Frenchman on the SIC Maui board. That's Ethan Brie. Another Frenchman at the front. That's Arthur Aritkin on the Infinity Everidi. So that's 5 athletes detaching themselves. And behind them, Cameron Carney from Canada, also on an Infinity board. Then 2 starboards in the chase. It is Nicolo Rico from Italy. It's Guilherme dos Reis from Brazil. Isel Delgado, the Peruvian prince, on the pink flying fish board. Another flying fish board, and it's Brazil with Eri Tenorio trying to stay with the Peruvian. He's taking with him Davide Alpino, another Italian. Oliver Papa is giving chase. And the youngsters, Campbell Carter, some Mikola Maidan at the back with the NSP, but at the front, pushing the hardest, 2 athletes, Shuri Araki, aka Shrimpy, and Fernando Perez Serra. Over to you.
So this is where things get interesting, Dave. Looks like maybe the train of athletes splitting a little bit. We do see Shrimpy out in front, Fernando Perez right behind him. And it looks like another nose of a starboard. That's going to be Aaron Sanchez right behind him. And then we have Ethan Brie of France. So that's the 4 train there. And then off to the right now, Arthur Rukin all by himself out there, Dave.
Yeah, interesting line for Arthur Rukin. He's basically virtually 3rd or 4th at this moment. I know Arthur, he's definitely known, in the ocean conditions. He likes reading bumps, so maybe that's his theory there, just to get a little bit cleaner water and stay out of the, the bumpy traffic of the leaders there. But it is Shuri Araki from Japan taking the lead. You can see him getting a couple glides. We got a nice wide shot right here, and you can see just in the distance, that's the prone race going on as they're looping back on that long backstretch of this distance course.
Yeah, it looks like still 4 athletes up in that medal contention there. Maël Tissier just ahead of David Buil of Spain, and then we have Lucas Pullman right behind them, and So Nomura keeping up. So that's the top 4 for the men's prone right now. Maël Tissier showcasing that he has what it takes in both the technical, where he took gold yesterday, and now leading the first lap of the men's distance. David Buil, though, looking like he was making a strong push. I think he's just going to try and keep up with Maël and draft them for a little bit to conserve some energy as we look back at the SUP race now.
Yeah, absolutely. As these races go on and get longer, it's always nice to find a draft and stick with the crew that you want to be with. So right now, Shuri looks like he's making trying to put a little bit of pressure on, getting a couple bumps there. You can see him sprint ahead, but Aaron Sanchez, Fernando Perez, they're still right on his tail. Itimbri comfortably sitting in fourth, drafting as well. And as you said, Arthur Rukin off to the left by himself. Be interesting to see if he eventually wants to slide over and get in that draft pack. Nice split screen shot we have. There is the prone distance leaders at the moment, as well as the SUP distance leaders. Shrimpy still with that classic high cadence stroke that we've come to know. But everyone's seeming to do pretty well keeping in this draft train.
Let's throw it down to Matt 2 in the boat. Matt 2, how are the conditions looking out there as the prone paddlers start to move out toward you?
Go. All right, thank you guys. So we've got a group of 4 in the prone men's division with Maël Tissier still leading just like yesterday. Look at him. He's pushing really, really hard now, sprinting away from David Bill, who's pushing hard again to try and stay with the Frenchman. We're talking about the 2023 long distance world champion. The American Lucas Pullman from California is staying with them. But then it's So Namura from Japan, who seems to be in a little bit of a tough patch right now. There's a bit of a gap behind the Californian, a gap that he's got to close if he wants to stay on the podium, because we've got the Italian Andrea Rossi about 20 meters behind, who's looking strong. So that's our top 5, a group of 3, then a little gap, and it's the Japanese, then a gap of about 30 meters, and it's the Italian, another 20 meters, and it's Jader Andrade from Salvador de Bahia, Brazil. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Matteo. From the boat there in the heart of the action, you can see our great split screen here from our production team. The SUP race on the left, the prone race on the right. They're the current leaders in this first lap. Remember, 3 laps of the distance race, and then they will make their way back in toward the beach for a beach finish. We saw some close finishes yesterday. Let's hope we get some more exciting finishes today in the distance, as we see Shuri Araki currently holding down first place in the men's SUP. And a bit of a train happening behind him, Dave. Yeah,
we got the 2 Spaniards. We got Aaron Sanchez as well as Fernando Perez right behind him, first, second, third. We got Itimbri in fourth. In fifth, you can see Arthur Rukin kind of sliding over into the draft train finally. He's been paddling on his own, taking his own line, but he's going to side draft now.
Yeah, and then we see the waves coming through there. That is La Bocana, our surf break at the Masters for the ISA held there at this surf break. As we see our paddlers making their way through. You can see some of the bigger sets, Dave, actually, of the day, maybe even almost breaking out where the race is taking place.
Yeah, it was hard to see, but a rider or 2 actually went down, so probably that outer peak catching them a little bit off guard, going a little deep on this course here. And just another great shot of that draft train. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 paddlers deep. You see the prone racers on the right side. Looks like they rounded that buoy and they're in the surf line now.
Yeah, really making their way right across to the inside, trying to pick up any bump that they can. But the risk, of course, with going too far across on the point here at El Sunzal is getting caught behind the whitewater. And then things can get really tricky if they need to try and exit that wave to get to the buoy turn. So we'll see if any of these athletes can pick up a wave. They're actually pointing kind of away from the buoy right now. That buoy is going to be basically a direct left on the middle of the screen there. And you can see now Maël Tissier realizing that he's being pushed super deep, so he's going to try and make a run for this little bump. I think these athletes coming from their respective lifeguard and, of course, surf life-saving backgrounds, really understanding how the water moves. Then these waves here at El Sunzal, been practicing the last few days and into the last week as well, as all the athletes make their way. But look at this, Dave. It looks like they're all going to be on a wave. Could it be? So Namura just missing out there. So it's going to be the Spaniard, the Frenchman and also the Team USA up and riding on this wave. You can see Maël Tissier there, utilizing the wave time there, Dave, to take some hydration.
Yeah, that was the smart thing to do. You know, this is the time to kind of collect your thoughts, take a deep breath. Maybe, you know, just try to relax as much as you can. A little bit of recovery. You can see the technique here. They got their little grab handles on the side rails. Just gives them a lot more control and stability when they have to trim across the wave face. And you can see they use all that momentum to kick out of the wave and to get the most glide they can in towards that buoy. Japan was right there and unfortunately just missed that set wave. So we'll see, you see one rider deep over there. That's going to be a little bit of a problem because it actually forces you to surf the opposite direction of the buoy, but they're doing a good job trimming back to the right. We'll see how that he's able to manage. But there are our leaders right there, the top three, able to break away from Japan.
Yeah, it's a real battle for copper medal right now. That copper medal placing in fourth. Jada Andrade there at the bottom of screen. Sonomura in the middle there. Andrea Rossi there of Italy. So these three athletes coming into that inside buoy all together there. Jada really trying to get the jump on Sonomura to get into this buoy turn. Look like So is going to get there just ahead of them as he rounds that buoy turn on the inside there. So similar to you, Dave, shapes his own boards. He's really fine-tuned his boards for this event. As we see the current top three leaders for the prone. Maël Tissier just having a real casual relax. I think he just realizes he might want to sit in a bit of a draft train and just conserve some energy going into lap 2.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the distance leaders right there, just kind of, you know, they got this long stretch to the bottom of the course. And as we've seen in the past, they like to make that corner and really take advantage of those bumps on the way back, and that's when they really tend to open up.
And this is Sonomura in fourth, Jada Andrade of Brazil in that fifth position, sixth. Team Italy, Andrea sitting back there as we catch back up with the leaders. It looked like a bit of body language there from Maël Tissier. He wasn't happy with something going on in the water, so I wonder what it is, but he's now making a really hard sprint. I think I know what it was. I think he was just biding his time, getting behind the other athletes to just make this really strong push to get ahead.
Absolutely, Bo. That was his strategy for sure. He's definitely taking a breather, kind of getting set up. He wanted to know when he could strike, and he definitely went and tried to make a move and break this pack. You saw Lucas basically, you know, panic paddling to try to keep up with them, and he happened to do it. And Lucas is right back on his tail, comfortably drafting, all three paddlers still together. And that's the strategy you'll see throughout a distance race. You know, how can you, when's the right time to make your move? Can you break your fellow competitors? You know, can you mess with them mentally? You know, a lot of times these come down to who's strongest mentally. How long can you hang on? You know, how bad do you want it? Who wants to go deeper into that pain chamber?
It's so true, Dave. Great insight into what the athletes might be thinking and feeling out in the water. You can see a little bit of different strategy there. Maël and Lucas opting for no leash. Got David Buil there of Spain to wear a leash, so maybe a little bit of tactics there with the surf being a part of this distance race as we turn our attention to the SUP distance race for the men, Dave. Looking like we've got a starboard rider out in front, it could be.
Yeah, it's a nice wide shot of the leaders of the stand-up paddle race at the moment, and you see that 10-man draft pack has definitely separated. It's much harder to ride the tail and draft, and there it is. Look, you can see Shuri Araki, he has made his move. He has opened up on this downwind leg and just really separated himself from second place. So Shuri Araki, from this angle, looks like he almost has about a 200-meter lead, perhaps.
And this is where I kind of don't understand sometimes of Shrimpy's tactics in races. I think he really mixes up his strategy, where he pushes in a race, where he saves energy. In actual fact, I don't know if he actually saves energy. He just pushes hard the whole time. But Matsu is on the boat. Matsu, how are these athletes looking as they passed you on the boat?
Go, talk. Yeah, he's talking. Yeah, guys, well, I can tell that Shuri Araki is making some aggressive moves in those bumps. He's got the swell for himself, and he's been pushing really, really hard ahead of Aaron Sanchez and Ethan Brie. These are the two paddlers from Spain and France able to stay with, within a reasonable distance behind Shuri Araki right now. Just behind them, about 20 meters behind, there's Fernando Perez-Serra and Arthur Aretkin. We also have Nico Lorico in the mix from Italy, Itzel Elgado and Eric Tenorio from Brazil. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 athletes at the front. Eric Tenorio is in 9th position, and Davide Alpino from Italy on a starboard all-star is in 10th position right now. But Shuri Araki is getting the job done between buoy number 2 and buoy number 3 to break the field and distance himself away from a Spaniard, Aaron Sanchez, and a Frenchman, Ethan Brie, a starboard and an SIC Maui board in the chase. Over to you.
Wow, I'm really impressed by Ethan Brie. His push to get up into 3rd place. You see Shuri Araki of Team Japan there, rounding that outside buoy now. Now he's starting to go into the surf zone, looking a little sleepy right now for the swell, so I'm not sure if too many waves are going to come for him. However, there might be some waves of opportunity for the riders right behind him. The paddlers we have, looks like Fernando and Ethan, Aaron Sanchez, right in the mix as well, Dave.
Yep, they're rounding that top buoy, and look, they got a little bit of bumps here. They're not going to catch this one, but there's still a couple back there. Shuri is angling a little bit. He's looking over his shoulder. He's definitely going to try to grab this one. I'm willing to bet he's going to position himself perfectly. You can see him setting this one up. So Shrimpy extending that lead with an inside wave out the back, super deep. We got a rider catching a set wave as well. So this is going to tighten the gap here a little bit. Big old drop for Shuri. We got 3 riders on the next one. It looks to be Aaron Sanchez, Fernando Perez, as well as Ethan Brie.
That it is.
All
Dave.
going for it.
Woo, look at these seats.
Oh, here we go.
No,
here
so
we
the
go.
2
2
Spanish
down.
riders, they go down. Team Spain, that's going to be a huge loss for them right now.
Oh, look at Ethan. He's barely hanging on as well.
This is a huge set that's come through. You can see how wide it is, pushing Ethan right in toward the buoy turn. Shuri Araki now on screen, current leader in the men's SUP distance. But Ethan Brie getting a fantastic ride through. Arthur Arucan look like behind them as well. It looked like maybe alongside, is that David Alpino? Wow.
More waves start pouring in, Bo, but here's the big story. Aaron and Fernando, it's not done for them. They're still struggling in the impact zone there. It's going to take a while. It's so hard to prone board a race board. As you can see, they can barely hang on to it. There's still more waves pouring in. They went from 1st to 2nd, and now you see Arthur Arucan all of a sudden in 3rd place. 4th place right behind him. I believe that's David Alpino. Hard to tell at this moment. More waves coming in. We're gonna drop it down to Mathieu. Big shakeup in the leaderboard here. Mathieu, give us an update.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's still Shuri Araki in the lead for sure. Shrimpy has got a 50-meter lead over Ethan Brie, who managed much better his surf than yesterday. He fell with Arthur Aretkin in the technical race and was not at the front of the tech race. So it's redemption day for Ethan Brie from Crozon in French Brittany on the SIC Maui board in the chase right now. He's got a 30-meter lead over another Frenchman. That's Arthur Aretkin from northern France, the windsurfer and SUP racer Arthur Aretkin, the 2018 APP World Tour champion, Also, redemption day for him. He was at the back of the field yesterday in the tech race after a very early fall. He was never able to catch up to the front yesterday. So 2 Frenchmen in the top 3 right now, and an Italian, the very surprising Nicolo Rico, who missed his chance yesterday to be on the podium just on the finish line when he was caught up by a very fast Antonio Murillo on the beach. So Nicolo Rico currently sitting in copper medal seat, and in 5th place from Andalusia, Fernando Perez Serra, the starboard Dream Team rider. In 6th position, we've got Itzel Delgado. He was 8th yesterday in the technical race. He's got the Freedom Pro, that's the model, SUP race model from Flying Fish, the Florida brand. Itzel Delgado, aka the Peruvian Prince, currently in 6th place. At the back, 7th place, it's a starboard, and it's Aaron Sanchez. So it looks like Aaron Sanchez is the big miss at the front right now. He was definitely a top favorite going into this race after winning in a major race recently against Shrimpy. So Aaron Sanchez sitting in 7th place right now, and then behind him, 2 Brazilians, Guilherme dos Reis, who was on the podium yesterday with a bronze medal, and Eric Tenorio, who actually lives in Florida. So that's 8 and 9. And 10th place right now, Davide Alpino at the back, the Italian on a starboard all-star. Over to you.
Wow, thanks very much, Matthew, for bringing us that update after that surf leg between buoy number 3 and 4. That really shook up things. You can see Eric Tenorio there on screen of Brazil. He's doing his best to try and catch up, but it's a long and a big ask to try and catch up to Shrimpy right now.
Yeah, Shrimpy's just opening up. You know, we did see, racers all getting waves and closing the gap just for a bit. And once you think you got a closed gap, we switch back to the front, and Shuri just seems to double his length of lead, and Shuri just kicking it into a whole nother gear right now.
He certainly is well out in front in this SUP distance race. You can see on the right-hand side of screen there, catching up with the prone racing as well. Maël Tissier now looking like he's out in front of David and Lucas. So he's starting to make his presence felt on the prone side of the distance racing. And you can see all athletes there at the bottom of the screen on the right there for the SUP. Trying to hunt down our leader at the moment, or he's at least trying to get up into medal contention. But it will be Team Japan there, looking very strong for the men's SUP distance. And Team France there in the men's prone. And then we can get a great shot here. Looked like that is Itan Brie on the right-hand side of the SUP drone following along there on the left here. Arthur Ruken there on the left. And then we have Fernando Perez Serra. Nicolo Rico, I believe. Itzel Delgado now as well in the mix. And then we have Fernando following up behind Itzel. And then behind him, we'll see as this competitor comes into view. I believe that could be Aaron Sanchez. That's Aaron Sanchez, I think, there with Eddie Tenorio. Hard to see with the glare with the drone there, as we can see on the right-hand side of screen with the prone. Maël Tissier creating a big gap now in the prone.
Yeah, he's really opened up on this back leg, as we've seen so many times already with these distance races. And he made his move somewhere probably right after that buoy. And he's just reading the ocean, getting all these glides, and he's able to open up maybe about a 10-board lead on second and third. Lucas Pullman from the USA and David Buil from Spain. They're virtually tied for second, side drafting with each other, so they'll be chasing down the Frenchman here.
Yeah, they'll try to catch up in the surf zone. But let's throw it down to Matu on the boat. He's got some more action.
Okay. So no, the other way around.
Okay, we're going, yeah. Go this side, Okay, let's go, Tom.
Check, 1, 2. All right, guys, we've got Maël Tissier in sight. Seems to be set to win a second gold medal this weekend. Maël Tissier, first time selected for with Team France. The young man from Seignos in the southwest of France. That's the département, the county of Les Landes. And he is a surf life-saving champion. Used to be with the ISAsurfing Surf Life-Saving Club. Now moving to a new club in Seignos. So Maël Tissier on that yellow board has got a good lead, about 40 meters of a lead with two athletes side by side. It's Spain and the USA in the back. Changing position now, Maël Tissier is looking forward to more surf. He's looking over his shoulders to gauge his how much of a lead he's got over the Spaniard, David Beal, the 2023 long distance world champion with the white and red board, and in blue and white, that's the American, the Californian, Lucas Pohlmann, saying hello. A top surfer as well. He's a lifeguard and a surf life-saving champion as well. So USA and Spain chasing France right now in the at the front of the prawn men's division, and in the back in fourth place right now, still on the podium with a copper medal, the Japanese So Nomura, who is known for building his own and shaping his own prawn paddle boards. Seems to be working for this young man that I met for the first time in 2023 in Les Sables d'Olonne. So there he is, sitting in fourth place right now with a big lead over, it looks like it is Jader Andrade, the Brazilian, in fifth place right now, with Andrea Rossi pushed back to sixth place. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Matu. I loved that camera following the athletes there. Super close in on the action. You could really see their look on their face there as they go through the second lap here of the men's distance. Dave, do you think they chat to each other when they're paddling next to each other, or do you think they're just in their own game?
I think there's definitely some chatter. I think in the prone there's more chatter than SUP. You know, they're always like tighter and kind of bumping elbows and scratching each other and just kind of doing that. So for sure, obviously with Maël Tissier out by himself, he's with his thoughts right now.
Yeah, that's true. He's well out in front at the moment. He'll look to keep that lead as he turns. He's coming up to the turn around the third buoy, but we're going to catch back up to action with the SUP. That is Shrimpy Shuriaraki. It looks like on the left-hand side of screen at the top there, Dave, Itan Brie trying to take a very different line to Shrimpy.
Yeah, very interesting. Like for a moment there, I was like, where is everybody? And Shuri, he seems to be going, you know, he might be going on a normal lane, but it's hard to tell from here, but it appears to be he's way further out than the other guys. Very interesting as well. It almost looks like, if you look down on the screen below, it looks like they're almost going in opposite directions in a way right now. I'm really curious of what's going on at the moment. But Shuri, you know, way out in front, you see at the top of our screen, almost the top right corner, you see Itan Brie barely paddling as well, but he's almost angling across our screen where Shuri is coming down to the corner of our screen. So much different lines for these paddlers. Very, very interesting. You know, Shuri, you know, spends a lot of time in the bumps, a lot of time in the wind. You know, he's a specialist in this stuff, so he must see this line as an advantage. And you can see, I mean, he's looking strong. He's getting nice glides. You see him leaning back, riding the swells. So just, you know, different tactics, different angles of attack. But Shrimpy's still quite ahead. And we got the split screen of the prone racers. Maël rounding that buoy into the famous wave section here at El Sunzal.
Yeah, look, Mael looking for a little bump, but yeah, wow, Shrimpy's line. Now he's starting to angle his board back toward the buoy, but he did head out into the ocean a little bit, and I think it's to do with this slight onshore wind coming up. I think Shrimpy's really trying to take advantage of any little bump he can to put a lot more pressure on his fellow competitors, trying to chase him down for the gold medal, but Shrimpy, a two-time gold medalist in the distance. As we see Mael Tissier just falling off the back of that one in the surf in the prone division. Looks like he might have another wave just coming through behind that. We'll see if he's able to get onto it. But remember, just behind him, two athletes. It is David Bouil and also Lucas Pohlmann. They're going to look to really try and catch up to Mael. There they are now on screen there on the right-hand side, but Mael's going to get onto this wave, and that's going to extend his lead there, Dave.
Yeah, he's got a nice smaller wave, so he's going to just glide across. You could see him taking some hydration. He's got that waist belt with his bottle. That almost looks like it could even be some sort of gel, or he might be trying to get some calories in his body. But right behind him is a giant swell, giant set. We'll see if the other guys were deep or too far out. You can see him right here. Someone loses it. This looks...
Oh my goodness.
They bail out the back
that looked like Lucas. I think he's come unstuck. No, he's still on his board. Wow, he's going to hold on tight. Lucas, remember, is not wearing a leash. David Bouil is. So Lucas had to do really well there to hold on to his board. Now it looks like David Bouil on the outside there, managing to get onto this wave. He's going to lay down, as you can see him angling right toward the buoy. Mael Tissier now on the inside, rounding that buoy number 3. He's going to head around there. As we see David Bouil, it looks like, and that is an amazing scenes there, the waves coming through. Let's head down to Matthew on the boat with the SUP division. Matthew, take it away.
Hold it up towards that building now on the other side. That's a shame.
Great scenes here. Matthew, are you there for us?
No, behind you, AJ.
No, so we're going to head to Matthew shortly, but we will catch up with the prone racing there for the men. Wow, some great scenes there. That is So Nomura on screen. I believe so it is. Now he's doing all he can to try and catch up to the leaders. A lot happened in the surf zone. So it was one of our competitors. I do believe that it is Lucas Pohlmann of USA. His board is on the rocks right now of El Sunzal. He is having to swim in to retrieve his equipment. Lucas Pohlmann, that will be a huge upset for Team USA. He was doing so well to stay close to David Bouil of Spain. But that board now on screen, you can see it is up on the rocks. Lucas Pohlmann, unfortunately not wearing a leash. David Bouil was wearing a leash. So there we go. That was the call for David to wear a leash in the surf zone. Wow, exciting moments here. Big, unfortunate upset there for Team USA. Let's throw it down to Matthew on the boat again. Matthew, do you have us there?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. A very different situation than at the end of the previous lap. The field is completely scattered all over the place behind Shui Araki. It seems, first of all, that the only thing that's able to stay with Shui right now is our drone. That's the only thing that can keep up with the speed of that phenomenon from Okinawa. But behind, there's a lot of moving and shaking. Etanbri is still in second place. Nicolo Rico has made a move to third place, so the Italian in third. And Itzel Elgato, that's the surprise, is currently virtually on the podium. Itzel Elgato has moved from 6th to 4th right now, overtaking Arthur Aritkin and overtaking as well Fernando Perez Serra prior to that. So currently sitting on the podium with a copper medal, virtually, Itzel Elgato from Peru. In 5th place, Arthur Aritkin from France on that Infinity Everready board. And about 100 meters behind, Fernando Perez Serra, the Spaniard from Andalusia. There's something like 100 meters that separate Arthur and Fernando Peracera. Then there's a bigger gap. It's Aaron Sanchez sitting in 7th place, and the 2 Brazilians further at the back, Eri Tenorio, Guilherme dos Reis in 8th and 9, with still in 10th position, David Alpino in 11th position at the very far back, Campbell Carter from the USA. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mathieu. Thank you for the update on the SUP division. Shrimpy knows how to read the ocean, Dave. He has put a huge lead on his competitors.
Yeah, and what's just incredible about Shuri, you see him just surf that wave all the way in with such control in the parallel stance. That's really hard to do, just riding the rails of his board. And then he turns that buoy, and what does he do? He just goes into a straight out, flat out sprint. And just Shuri just keeping the pressure on. You see Itambri right here, catching a deeper wave right here. He's going to want to trim over to the channel a little bit more, but getting a nice mellow ride into the buoy line. I'm wondering what's happening to Lucas Pullman.
So Lucas is now on his board. He is still paddling out through the surf break now. So Lucas Pullman competing in the men's distance prone. He had a tough run. He lost his board in the surf zone, now making his way back out. There he is there on screen. Unfortunately, losing that equipment in the surf zone. Dave, we saw on screen he did so well to hang onto his board and roll in the white water, but he must have just lost it at the last hurdle.
Yeah, it's so hard to hang on to some of those prone boards. You know, they don't have the big old handles on the stock style boards like the SUPs do and the lifeguard saving style boards. So Lucas just getting his board yanked out of his arms on that giant set wave.
So tell us here, we've got Itanbri in second. Looks like we have a fight for bronze medal right now for the men's SUP. We've got Itzel Delgado there in the mix. Looks like Atarukin as well. And looks like Fernando Peracera could be up in there. Itzel on screen. That's Arthur. As we take a look and pan back out, no waves coming through right now for this section between buoy number 3 and buoy number 4, but there is your leader of the men's SUP distance, Team Japan, Shuri Araki. No stranger to being out in front.
Absolutely not. And Shuri Araki has just been so dominant lately. And, you know, he never seems to look tired. That's the one thing about Shuri. You just see him sprinting and hammering all the time. It's just incredible.
As we catch up to the prone paddlers here, Maël Tissier currently out in the lead. David Buil now in second after Lucas's unfortunate turn of events. There's Federico there from Argentina in the prone division coming through. As you see some waves here, Dave, for the men's SUP.
Yeah, another nice set right here. We see, I believe that's Aaron Sanchez on the bottom of your screen right here.
Looks like Eri Tenorio behind him.
Yeah,
riding
like,
through.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that's both the Brazilians on the same wave. That is Eri Tenorio and Guilherme dos Reis. They're trimming across the cove. They're looking over their shoulder. They see the set wave here. They want to get out of the way, make it over to the shoulder.
So as that tide's almost at the low tide there, you can see a lot of water movement on the inside there. That will come into play as well as they come around and turn this inside buoy, making it a little harder to stay on their feet as they have to switch their paddles over. Oh, nosedive there.
Yeah, we just get a big old late drop, unsuccessful. We see one more paddler out the back. It appears to be Campbell Carter from the USA. Staying patient, he's letting this wave form up. Let's see if he could get a nice smooth ride.
He's looking very patient, trying to get into this one. Looks like he's going to time it well, be able to get and stay on his feet. And we're going to throw it down to Matu on the boat. Matu, you got the SUP racers heading right past you.
Absolutely, guys. There's definitely a big battle going on. for third place right now with Itzel Delgado catching up with Nicolo Rico. So we are going to try and catch up right now. In a couple of seconds, we're going to be able to catch up with Itzel Delgado and Nicolo Rico, as Itzel Delgado smelled blood, I have the feeling, and has been able to overtake the Italian. There's a big battle behind Ethan Brie and Shuya Araki for third place right now. With Arthur Aritkin, we're catching up with Arthur Aritkin right now in fifth place. But now it's official, it's Delgado sitting in third place. He's managed to overtake Nicolo Rico. We'll have them on camera in a few seconds. There's 80 meters of a gap behind Ethan Brie, and now it's Itzel Delgado, who in a matter of seconds was able to overtake the young Italian. Nicolo Rico currently sitting in fourth place, and right now on camera, I don't know if you've got that on your screens, but we've got Arthur Aritkin from France on the Infinity Everready, pushing hard. It's not over, we're in the last lap, and there's still some moving and shaking, as you can see. And we're gonna try and catch up with Itzel Delgado now and Nicolo Rico. But it's a clear lead for third place right now for the Peruvian Prince, Itzel Delgado. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Matthew. That was a great update there. Wow, Itzel Delgado making a huge charge now up into the bronze medal position ahead of the young Italian rider, Nicolo Rico.
Yeah, Itzel Delgado taking advantage of those waves, rode them perfectly, positioned him right into third place. So just trying to hang on. Nicolo Rico right on his draft, trying to conserve energy as much as they can, because they know when they flip the buoy, it's much harder to draft with those bumps. So the strategy here is just to keep your competitor close and then try to go for it on the way back. Does look like Arthur Aritkin is still in the distance there, but seems to be widening the gap between these guys for third place. So Itzel Delgado, Peru, Nicolo Rico from Italy. Got a nice little battle. We'll see how this shapes up for the bronze medal.
Yeah, Nicolo Rico, young paddler of Italy there. Wow, almost getting caught with the waves at La Bocana. Down by El Tunco, the town here. Wow, that was a close call, Dave.
Yeah, that was a big old set that kind of snuck up on him. Look, there's another one. They're just riding the lip line right there. So taking a pretty risky line. You know, it's probably a little bit shorter angle to the buoy in there, but you do risk getting swept up by a sneaker set. Good angle right there. You see Shrimpy already rounded the buoy, and now he's just bump running all the way back, just widening his lead even more.
Yeah, Ethan Brie in that second place there. You can see just ahead of Itzel and Nicolo. So Shuri really starting to apply some power now as he makes his way out toward buoy number 3. But it is Maël Tissier of France for the prone division. Remember, we have both the SUP and the prone on their final lap here. So Maël making his way out. Currently in the lead, David Buil in that second place from Spain. That's going to be the bit of the upset there for David. He's got 6 ISA medals in his tally. He was the 23 world distance, and he's medaled every year from 2018. So it looks like he is in contention to medal again here in 2025 here in Surf City, El Salvador. But it is the Frenchman Maël Tissier out in front, looking very strong. He's done very well, played a smart race. We saw him battle it out with Lucas and David on lap number 1 and 2, but he's really started to pull away now.
Yeah, he's looking real comfortable, just in a nice rhythm with his cadence there. You know, we like to call that 70%. You know, he might be going 70 to 80%. That's kind of race pace, as we like to call it. Not overly pushing it, but just keeping the pressure on.
especially on this longest stretch here between buoys. Mael now on his stomach, mixing up between knee paddling, as you can see now back on his knees, and also on the prone paddle. We'll see him look to, he just takes a look over his shoulder just to see where David is of Spain. He's a fair way behind. He's got a great distance in front. I think the biggest upset in this race is going to be Lucas Pohlmann of Team USA. Right in the mix there, but unfortunately losing his board in the surf zone.
Yeah, and his board was dry docked on the rocks for minutes at a time, so that's a big bummer for Lucas. You know, you got to give it to him. He did go for it on that giant wave.
He actually tried to pull out of the back of it, but then he got pulled over with the whitewater in the lip of that wave. And I think that's where, you know, things get powerful as you start to get in the turbulence of the whitewater and just unable to hang on to his board. But a great pullback shot there. You can see David Bouil trying his best to catch up to Mael Tissier. And Dave, it's not over because, you know what, they got to go through the surf zone. But before they get to that buoy turn, let's throw it down to Mathieu.
Let me know. Do I talk?
I will when I get your...
And then we've got the first SUP at the back, like really near, really near. And there's no drone, so we can have a first SUP.
Push two, push two. Okay, now we're going, I got this out here, got first SUP.
We've got the first prawn and the first SUP.
First prone and first SUP. First two.
So we'll get back to Mathieu once he's able to be back in comms there, but we have a look at the drone shot here. We have our SUP racers here bringing up the field at the back there. Maybe a little struggle from one of our competitors there. Just getting back up on the board. It's easy to fall off here as you have all that water moving through from the point. A little bit of onshore wind now. And looks like that's Oliver Papa there on the infinity board. Rounding this buoy. Young paddler there, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Oliver from Puerto Rico. This is his first stint in the open men's division, so good to see him giving it a go here in El Salvador. But it's all about this guy right here, Shuri Araki from Japan, our leader, and he is way out in front. Nothing has changed. Just bump riding all the way back to that buoy. As you see, Shuri just always has that high cadence. He's flying right by Mathieu in the boat right now, getting really close to the action.
Sun just starting to set here in El Salvador. You can see the beautiful shot here. Shuri Araki paddling through the glare right now as he makes his way up toward the buoy turn at the top of our surf break. Mael Tissier now on screen, right behind him, David Bouil. And as I said before, things can get interesting if we hit the surf and a set comes through, especially for David Bouil, who could catch up. He's putting in some really strong paddles there to try and catch up to Mael of France. Remember, Mael won the technical race here of the prone yesterday, so he's already got a gold medal this week. Can he back it up with the distance gold? It's going to be a close one. David behind him, trying to catch up, can do all he can to try and move up into advancing position. And after Lucas went down, it'd be interesting to see who's in that third place as well in that bronze and copper medal position. Remember, we saw Jada of Brazil. Sonomura is definitely going to be up in the mix, Team Japan. So a lot of action still back in the pack as we turn our attention now to the SUP distance.
Yeah, and this is a nice angle. You get to see the groomed little bumps that Shuri gets to ride back all the way back to that buoy. You know, this is one of his specialties, is reading the ocean. He's over from the island of Okinawa in Japan. Lots of wind out there. You always see Shuri out in the surf, out in the wind, practicing his stand-up paddling, foiling. And Shuri Araki just continuing to extend his lead.
Yeah, I don't see anyone behind him right now, Dave.
Yeah, it's hard to see where second place is when you're that far ahead. And Shuri Araki, this is the final lap.
So this is interesting. That is David Buil there on the left of Shrimpy for the prone, and just behind him, So Nomura of Japan as well. So Shrimpy and So on screen there. See So Nomura trying to catch up to David there. That's going to be a great comeback for So. He's done very well in this race. As we fly back now, let's have a look at the field here, Dave, as we start to approach them.
Yeah, and it just gives you, this drone shot just gives you it just gives you such a good look at what a big gap Shuri Araki has. You're looking at second and third place right here.
No, so Itan Brie was just on the left of screen,
okay.
So he's still in second. And now we've got Itzel and Nicolo Rico there.
Yeah, so Itan Brie off on his own in second place, just ahead of Itzel Delgado from Peru and Nicolo Rico from Italy. So Nicolo's done a good job sticking with Itzel. It's much harder to try to draft when you're going down bumps. The bumps do seem to have flattened out just a little bit. Itzel having to hang on to his rail there. He had a little boat wake. Those guys angling directly into our camera zone, it appears to be.
So we see split screen here. Look at Shrimpy, Shuriaraki, and Maël Tissier. It looks like Maël Tissier and Shrimpy both riding the same wave. This is your gold medalist right now for the prone and the distance. Wow, for the men's SUP. Maël on the inside, Shrimpy on the outside. What a beautiful scene here, Dave.
Wow, that's simply incredible. Look at Maël, he's pretty much in the barrel. Goes down to his belly, rides this one out. Shuri's way out on the outside, parallel stance. These guys are angling perfectly. This wave is gonna give them a perfect ride straight into that surf buoy that we've seen all race long. You see Shuri kind of kicks out, and look at him, just going to hyper speed. Big old buoy turn. Shuri is feeling it. There is no reason why he needs to be sprinting. That's just how he is.
No, it is a need. This is for the gold medal, Dave. It's the final lap. But here's the thing. There are no more waves in the surf zone. So these two competitors really making it clear now that they are fighting for gold medal. And we can see here Itzel and also Nicolo. That's third and fourth currently on screen for the SUP. Second place is Itan Brie. He's taking a very different line to these competitors as they head out toward that surf buoy. But we see Shuri Araki and Maël Tissier making their way now back in toward the beach. This will be the finish for the distance SUP and the distance prone.
Yeah, and you see Shuri coming in. What a treat we get here. Both the gold medalists are coming in at the same time. So Shuri Araki from Japan gliding his way into the beach.
Yeah, Shuri told me yesterday in his post-heat interview after winning gold in the technical, he wants to take all three golds, the technical race, the distance race, and the sprints coming up tomorrow. He's definitely on his way to do that. As we see So Nomura now, he's looking like he is catching up. Is that David Buil about to come around the buoy turn? Or is David already out in front of him? We'll have to get confirmation on that. But Maël Tissier of France, your prone, first place right now. He's going to look to get a little bump. And of course, this man from Japan, Shrimpy Shuriaraki. He is making his way in now, Dave, to cross the finish line.
Shuriaraki makes a nice soft landing. He's going to pick up that board, make sure no rocks damage his magic stick. And Shuriaraki, he's going to walk away from this one, distance world champion. So we're going to get Japan with the gold medal here. Also Maël Tissier.
Wow, that is your three-time gold medalist here for ISA. He's taking his third gold in the distance in 2025. Shuri Araki of Japan. Fantastic performance, very dominant performance from him. He is the man to beat in the SUP world right now. As we see Maël Tissier of France crossing the line for the prone. So it will be Maël's first medal, his gold medal in a distance race. He won the technical yesterday. 2 gold medals this week for Team France from Maël. Fantastic performance from him.
Wow, both incredible performances, big old gaps. And do we have a little mix or a little shakeup in the second and third place for Pro and Bow?
I believe we do, looking like Sonamura getting the jump on David Bawil in the wave. So Sonamura coming on in for silver place right now. That could be an upset there for Team Spain. David Bawil maybe wasn't able to catch a wave during that exchange. So as we see Sonamura now trying hard to get into the beach ahead of David Bawil. It looks like he is going to try and manage that as they come in for silver and bronze position here in the men's prone. Wow, what a race from Sonamura to come right back. He was in 5th position starting lap number 1, but manages to get right back in the mix here for a silver medal contention. As he makes his way into the beach, he holds that wave through all the way in, so he does well to control that. Stepping off now, he needs to make a run for it. David's not far behind. And here he goes. That will be Sonamura, Team Japan, taking silver in the men's distance prone. Great performance from him. And we'll look to Team Spain. David Bawil now making his way in. That will be bronze medal there for Team Spain. A couple of unfortunate turn of events in the prone distance, but David crossing the line there with that bronze.
Got more racers here. Look at this one. Itembri in second. Looks like, is that Nikolai?
I think Nicolo Rico now has got ahead of Itzel Delgado, so it looks like it's going to be Itembri, Nicolo Rico making their way in here. It's who can navigate this shore break the best, Dave.
Yeah, this is for silver. So Itembri. Oh, Nicolo going down. Itembri riding it out. Pulls off the leash. Let's see if he gets hung up. Doesn't look like it's gonna matter much. So we got Itembri from France with a strong performance, silver medal for France. Let's go.
Wow, what a finish there from Itembri. A fantastic race from him. And there we go. Nicolo Rico, the young Italian, crossing the line for bronze.
Yeah, what a big bronze medal achievement for Nicolo Rico. Last time we saw them on screen, he was basically neck and neck with Itzel Delgado. You see Itzel right here. Itzel doing a good job with the copper finish here for Peru. He's got one more wave to contend with. He goes down, but he's on the shore. So there must have been an exchange in the surf that we did not see.
Yeah, I believe we were watching the winners cross the line there. But Itzel, a silver medalist in 2019, now a copper medalist here for 2025. Itzel Delgado representing Peru crosses the line, 4th position for the men's distance SUP. Arthur Arukin now just outside of medal contention in 5th place, does well to navigate the inside. He just comes unstuck on the end there.
Yeah, wow, the inside section is just getting so gnarly with those closeouts. Here's another one. Let's see what happens. You could just see the water sucking underneath the boards. Virtually impossible to ride out of that. And it looks like the Frenchman Arthur Arukin will come in 5th place. So nice kind of comeback race for Arthur. Didn't have the race he would have liked in the technical yesterday.
Fernando Perez, setter of Spain. Him and I believe his teammate Aaron Sanchez went down on a wave earlier on lap number 1, which really cost them. But they did well. Aaron Sanchez here making his way in now. They did well to catch up to the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing wave those guys took together. Big, old, steep face, and just wasn't able to quite hang on, and they spent a lot of time in the impact zone. So to make it all the way back and finish up on the upper half of this leaderboard, that is a well-done achievement.
And we see here, this is Andrea Rossi, I believe, making his way in. This is the copper medal position. So we'll see if Andrea can cross the line. You can see him running up the beach here. He's going to grab his nation's flag of Italy. It is Andrea Rossi there, the copper medalist for the men's distance prone. Put on a fantastic race as well to catch up. We've had a lot of action here in the heats. I can't wait to get to the highlights, Dave. It's going to be a great showing there. We see Jada of Brazil now making his way in. Currently 5th position. He's just very casual, realizing that there's no competitors behind him. So Jada, no stranger to ISA events in the past. Congratulations, Team Brazil, crossing the line. Fantastic sounds coming from down on the beach from our teams. As we see another competitor making their way in here for the SUP division. It's been a fantastic day of racing.
Yeah, it looks like
Guillermo
from Brazil. He will finish with the top 10 here in the distance race. I believe he's coming in 8th place. So Brazil, top 10 for Guillermo de los Reyes.
Wow, fantastic. That's your top 8 there for the SUP. Eddie Tenorio making his way in. He's navigating the shore break. Oh, a bit of a step in the wave. That step has caught a lot of people out, but he does well to hold on as he rides through there. So our other Brazilian rider crossing the line just behind his fellow teammate. And as we see some more athletes making their way in as well. There's a couple more SUP athletes to come in just behind Eddie, and then some more prone a bit further back in the field. We've still got athletes out on the course. Remember, athletes still want to try and get the best position they can to get valuable team points. As we see Eddie there cross the line. Team Brazil. Of course, we saw Jade cross the line just outside medal contention of Team Brazil in the prone. And wow, what great scenes we have here. Down the beach, Surf City. El Sunzal providing a great place here for SUP and prone distance racing. We had 3 laps of a 3-kilometer course. And as we see, this looks like...
Yeah, I believe that is David Alpino, also from Team Italy. He's going to finish here with a top 10 finish in the World Championship. So nice showing for David. Team Italy's got to be stoked. They got a 3rd place and a 10. So nice points on the board for Team Italy. Also Campbell Carter, Team USA, coming in here. Just missing out on that top 10 finish. He will finish in 11th place. There's his dad, Eric. Gonna board caddy for him, but Campbell Carter gonna cross the line. 11th place here in El Salvador, men's distance race.
So as you see all the athletes and the teams down on the sand there welcoming their teammates back in from the distance race. As we see on down there, the beautiful black sand beaches here, providing the best location here for the 2025 ISA World SUP and Paddleboard Championship. This is Federico making his way in the prone division on screen. So Federico was right in the mix at the start, Dave, as he was yesterday in the technical, but just couldn't quite hang on to it as the kilometers ticked up in this race.
Yeah, he made a big push in the beginning, hanging with our leaders for, you know, almost a full lap. I think the separation happened kind of in the surf there that we've seen so many times.
We see more prone paddlers. There is Lucas Polman on screen on the right-hand side in the prone. Wow, he was sitting up in 2nd place at one point, found himself on a really big set wave, and unfortunately losing his board, which drops him right down in the rankings here. Team Argentina hitting the beach. We'll see him make his way up to cross the line in 6th position. So great job there from Federico, doing Argentina proud. All smiles all around as the athletes hit the beach here as well.
Yeah, and we also got Augusto Di Leva from Argentina coming in to the beach. He's got his leash off already, so he will finish in 12th position. Team Argentina. Augusto Di Leva. And you see Lucas Pullman just jogging up through the finish line now. Team USA. Brutal, losing the board all the way to the rocks.
No better word to explain it, Dave. It was very brutal. Just you could see his medal contention slipping away as the board slipped out of his hands. But nonetheless, great performance. And we're going to hear from Shuri Araki, the winner of the men's SUP distance.
Thank you so much, you guys. Congratulations. This is the second time we are talking to you just this week alone, your second gold medal for the week. Talk to me about how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I'm very happy to get second gold medal. Yeah.
Well, yesterday you actually said that you're hoping to win all 3 gold medals. So that's 2 gold medals ticked off. You still have the sprint for tomorrow. How does your preparation change for distance to sprint?
Yeah, I know that it's not easy, very difficult to get 3 gold medals. Yeah, big challenge for me, but I want to challenge this year.
Well, your equipment looking excellent under your feet. You're unstoppable. Your dad creates your equipment for you. Talk to me about how that is feeling in these conditions and in the waves.
Yeah, the board was so amazing. That was one part of my body. Yes, so amazing. Yeah, thank you for my father and all supporters, all sponsors, and my family, my friends, and all legends and organizers. Thank you, everyone.
Well, you are now a multiple-time gold medalist just this week, adding on to the other medals that you already have to your name from before. Is there anything you'd like to say back in Japanese to everyone at home?
Okay. 今日ディスタンスも優勝することができました。応援ありがとうございました。また明日スプリント3つ目の金メダル。簡単ではないことは分かっていますが、チャレンジします。明日もよろしくお願いします。
Thank you so much. Congratulations again. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Great to hear from Shrimpy there, now a 3-time gold medalist in the distance division. So let's take a look at the highlights from Shrimpy's race. He is, of course, the man to beat now in the world of SUP. Great start by everyone here, Dave.
Yeah, and you know, no surprise, Shrimpy gets an excellent start. He just goes up and over that closeout set, but it was Team Spain who kind of jumped out to the lead really quickly. And it was early. It was Fernando Perez Serra, Aaron Sanchez leading the charge. Shrimpy right there. They all made the buoy turn all together and stuck on this draft train for quite a long time. You can see that draft train building up to 10 paddlers deep at one point. So at this point in the race, very competitive, very close. They had to deal with the outside peak at La Bocana. You could see racers doing their thing to stay safe from the waves. And right here is when Shuri Araki decided to make his move nice and early. They take away that first buoy turn and he just opens up, just starts reading the bumps and doesn't let off the gas. And a lot of times when you're leading the race, you get gifted with the wave. And this is where it all started happening behind him. Shuri is clean and safe. But we had a lot of carnage behind him, Bo.
Oh, it certainly did. Looked like the 2 Spanish team riders just getting caught up in the waves there. As you see, another wave being ridden by Shrimpy, extending his lead way out in front. He's comfortable surfing regular, surfing goofy on his race boards. As you can see him just power his way back out for the final lap of the SUP distance. And you can see the gap between first and second.
Yeah, and Shrimpy just in perfect rhythm with the ocean here. He got nice set waves every lap, and then, you know, just really never let up after that. You know, he loves this backstretch. This is when he really started to, you know, read the bumps. You could see a lot of competitors, and then what a shot we had here. Shrimpy caught up with the prone leader, Maëlle Tessier. They got to ride in together, celebrate, little victory lap for gold medals. Shrimpy does a little styly buoy turn right there, just kind of celebrating already. But Shuri Araki, signature style, you just never see him kind of cruising until right here. He's going to cruise right into the finish and casually carrying his board. And well done, Shuri Araki, world champion ×2. And then we had some action right here, Bo, right at the end.
Yeah, unfortunately for Nicolo Rico there, just going down in the shore break. So it was Ethan Brie of Team France there, getting the jump into silver medal place. And then we saw Team France there cross the line. Very happy to cross the line in silver. Nicolo Rico there taking the bronze medal for Team Italy. Fantastic performance from the young Italian. Very happy as well to cross the line there. He put on a fantastic race to keep up with the top competitors there, but it was Shuri Araki taking the win. And let's catch up with the winner from the men's distance prone, Maëlle Tessier.
Thank you so much, you guys. Maëlle, congratulations. Your second gold medal, your first one yesterday in the technical, today now dominating the distance. Talk to me about how it feels, two-time world champion just this week.
I'm very happy with the result. It was very hard because the temperature was not so good and the wind was weird. And yeah, I'm really happy because it was a difficult one.
Now, in a distance race like this, how important is it to get that early lead?
I think it's not so important to have like the first legs in the first position because the conditions were very strange, changing all the time. So it was just about like kind of warm up to understand how it was working, because warm up for long distance is different because the can was very far from the south, I think. So yeah, it was very important to like be enough like rest at the first leg and think about how you are going to manage the second and the third leg and imagine what can happen during the race.
Yeah, well, you executed your strategy perfectly. Now having 2 gold medals in both of your divisions, is there anything you'd like to say back to your family and friends, your country at home that would be so proud of you?
Yeah, thank you to all my team because we train together and that's why I am not so bad here today. And it's helped to have a big squad and train hard. And yeah, thank you to the Seniors Sauvetage Côtier and the Lou Surf Club of Seniors. Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations. We'll send it back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you very much. Rachel, hearing from Maëlle there, very stoked. And it was interesting to see and hear him talk about the conditions changing out there a lot, Dave. Really interesting to see that first lap in the distance race as a warm-up lap.
Yeah, I love that insight. You know, that's such fun to get inside the minds of the best paddlers on the planet.
As we see the highlights here from the men's prone distance race, it was Maëlle out in front from the start. Federico, though, of Argentina, always pushing hard off the start line, found himself out in front going into this buoy turn here. As you can see next to him, that is Lucas Bowman, David Buil, that top 4. And then Sonomura sitting a little bit back in the field, but wow, what a performance from Sonomura to really come back up into contention and take the silver medal away from David Buil. So Maëlle Tessier here trying to make a run for it, but like he said during the interview, just that warm-up lap because the conditions changed. I think the wind dropped throughout the race here, Dave, and also the swell definitely coming into contention.
Yeah, it just seems like the waves were starting to pump when they got down to the La Bocana side, and then when they got into the surf lineup over here, there was tons of set waves to be had. And this first lap, these guys enjoyed a ride together and kept it tight here. You see them just arm in arm around that buoy.
And that's where I spoke about the differences of Maëlle and Lucas not wearing a leash, and of course, David wearing a leash, and this is where it all really unraveled for Team USA. You see Maëlle there up and riding, just taking a drink, using the opportunity on the wave to gain distance, but also to be able to take some hydration there. That is David Beweel there on screen. And we missed the shot there of Lucas losing his board, and he was out of contention there for the medal. So look, David Beweel there in second. A huge jump on Sonomura right now in this lap. Mael there riding the wave with Shrimpy just on the outside. That was great scenes, as you said, Dave. The two winners of each division there on screen making their way in. Mael Tissier took the gold in the technical, took the gold in the distance. He's looking unstoppable, as has Team France in previous years as well. So Mael looking really strong. And then, of course, I think the waves really changed up the placings for second and third. As we see Mael cross the line, it was, of course, Sonomura of Japan making his way in here ahead of David Beweel. So what fantastic scenes down here on the beach. Sonomura taking silver. And here is the Spaniard. David crossing the line there in the bronze medal position. Wow, what a huge day of action. It's been fantastic with the distance racing, Dave. It's really opened my eyes to different tactics, different strategies, and of course, the unstoppable forces in our sport. Absolutely. Got such dominating performances from Shuri Araki and Maëlle Tessier from France. And, you know, what a fun course. You know, we had a little bit of everything, little upwind, little sidewind. You had to contend with the waves, of course. But really, that backstretch had a lot of bumps where both prone and the stand-up guys really took advantage of to open up those gaps. And, you know, of course, to finish in the shore break. It's always been fun to watch this week. But, yeah, distance, that's as good as distance racing can get through that surf. It was really fun. It certainly is. And of course, we won't forget about the Spanish team as well. Duna Gordillo taking the win for the women's SUP distance, and also Judith Verges in the prone distance for the women. So very well done to all of our athletes. That's another 4 gold medals crowned. And guess what, Dave? We've got another couple to crown tomorrow as well. The sprint races will be coming up tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned to ISAsurf.org for all the schedules and who's competing for your team. I'm Bo Nixon, Dave Bainey here, and alongside Rachel Tilley in the booth. We thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for the final day of competition.